Ladies and gentlemen, patriots across this great republic that is under God, a country of faith, freedom, and the right for us to fight and keep them both. Tonight, we couldn't have a more fitting show. We're going to talk about the midterm elections. Tonight on Town Hall, we will have the Johnny Appleseed of election data, Dr. Douglas Frank. He is a returning guest. I'm your host, Ashley Weis. The RAF mission statement is very clear. Red America First is a nonprofit movement dedicated to uniting Christian patriots to reclaim America's founding principles of faith, freedom, and constitutional governance. Town Hall is our flagship podcast and the nation's most engaging platform where we, the people, run the show. We are rooted in biblical principles. Our red stands for the blood of Christ and the sacrifice of patriots, not a political party, but a spiritual calling to restore constitutional governance. Tonight, again, we are so honored to have Dr. Frank.
I'm your co-host, Valerie Weis. We have a couple of quick announcements. Pastor's Point will be resuming their show sometime in August or September, but we'll let you know the exact date. You can
that got updated. October. Sorry, they're starting in October.
Okay. Thank you for the update, Ashley. You can also check the events page on our Red America First Facebook page. Next Thursday at 9 p.m., we will be discussing all kinds of information about America, what's going on with Jeff Cruier. He's out of Louisiana. And that's it, I think.
Patriots, we need your support to keep this mission going. Even $20 can help fuel our work. Go to givesendgo.com/RedAmericaFirst/donate. And if you want to join our live panel, we have 50 states that we have to cover. So please go to RedAmericaFirst.com. Tell us what state you're in, and we'd love to have you on. Every week we start with prayer, Pledge of Allegiance, National Anthem. So I'm going to call on Pastor Wendy Stockhausen, the host of Pastor's Point, to lead us into prayer. Thank you.
Bow your heads with me, please. Father, Lord God, we just come before you tonight, Father, and we just thank you, Lord, for your mercies and your grace, Lord, your great grace toward us, Father. God, we thank you, Lord, that your love endures forever. And Father, we thank you tonight, Father God, for this meeting. We thank you for the host. We thank you, Lord, for the guest, Father. We ask that you would bless them, Father, that you would give them wisdom tonight as they speak, Lord God. May their speech be edifying, Lord, and encouraging, Father. And I'm reminded, Lord, that as we see these things, Lord, coming to pass, as we see these things happening in our nation, Lord, let us take up the banner of our Savior Jesus Christ and let us speak against the evil, even as your prophets did, even as your disciples did, Lord. So would we be, Father. I'm reminded of Nineveh, Father God, when you sent Jonah to declare the word of the Lord and to call them out, Lord, and to call out the evil. And there was repentance there, Father. And you said, Father, you said in 2 Chronicles, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and get on their knees and pray and turn to me, I will heal their land. And Father, that promise still holds true. Your word holds true. So Father, I pray tonight as we go over these stats, Lord, nothing surprises you. You know, we would ask, Father God, that you would shine your light upon the cheating, the corruption. Lord, bring it to light, Father God. Let there not be 1 inch, 1 crevice where the enemy remains hidden in all of this, Father God. But Lord, even if those that are going to turn away, that are going to do this evil, Father God, will continue to do it, let it be brought to the light, Father God, that your light would shine upon it and show it for what it is, Father. May our goal, first and foremost, Lord, to be to turn others towards you, because it is in that, Father God, that we find the truth. It is in that that we find the integrity. It is in that that we find the honesty, Lord God. I pray for each and every person on the panel. I pray for each and every person that is listening to this. Lord, now is the time to take up the battle. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers and spiritual wickedness in high places. So, Father, I pray that we would take that mantle on. We need some Elijahs, Father. We need some Elishas, Lord God. We need some Pauls, Father, and yes, Lord, some Peters, Father God, and some Johns. Father God, we need those that have these different callings, as our guest tonight, Father God, has his special calling, Lord, to bring this stuff to the light. So we ask for that anointing. We ask that we would take up that call and we would move forward and hold the line and occupy until you come. May everything we do, first and foremost, be unto you, Lord God. And we ask these things in Jesus' name we do pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you for that, Pastor Wendy, host of Pastor's Point. Now we're going to call on Rob Ohio to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you in advance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job, Rob. He is a founding member of Red America First. Now we're going to call on Amber Stockhouse in South Carolina to do the national anthem. Thank you in advance. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through perilous fight o'er the ranks were so gallant, and did get through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner for the land and the brave.
Thank you for that, Amber. That was very nice. Appreciate that. From South Carolina, thank you for that. So let's go ahead and get Dr. Douglas Frang up here. Gosh, it's been a while since we saw you in person, but we've had you back a couple times. In fact, when my mom was really ill, you actually hosted a show for us, and you are still running really hard with election integrity, and there's a lot of stuff we're going to talk about. Thanks for coming back. Real quick, you want to say anything before we go into the interview? Go ahead.
Well, I don't want to wear this hat the whole time. I'll get hot, but this is my Destroy Communism hat in Korea.
Oh.
Perfect. Speaking of Korea, you recently examined the election process in South Carolina, and I think we should kind of
In Korea.
talk about
South
that
Korea.
first. Sorry, South Korea, sorry. And walk us through what stood out about their early voting procedures compared to what we typically see in the United States. And you should be able to share your screen. Thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome. I went there. I was there for 2 weeks. It was an amazing, amazing experience. Can you see the screen okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, so let me just give you just the context, just a bit of context. So what happened is the former Prime Minister, Hwang Kyo-ahn, came to CPAC in March and he gave a 10-minute speech. That's his translator on his left, that's Jennifer, and told America, he says, we're in trouble in South Korea, folks. We need you. Our country is being stolen. through corrupt elections. And it's about a 10-minute speech or so. You can watch it. It's still online. And then afterwards, of course, Mr. Lindell and he had a conversation. And the next day, Mr. Lindell called me and said, would you please consider being on our team? We've put together a two-country team to deal with election fraud. So the next day I was on, or a couple of days later, I was on a Zoom call with the team. This is, once again, you see Jennifer there. Let me just get my pointer working. There we go. You see Jennifer and Chu Hyun. He's basically the Dr. Frank of South Korea. And so we spent a couple of evenings doing Zoom calls together and talked about what I could do or whether I could be any help or whatnot. And after we discussed it, I said, you still want me to come? You want me to come? And they're like, 1,000%, please come. So when you want me? And they said tomorrow. So
Nice.
it's not what I was expecting, but I had to drop a lot of appointments. It just worked out that I was able to move a lot of appointments because you know me, I'm booked pretty constantly. So I hopped on a plane, and while I was getting ready to go, I noticed on X, people started sending me messages on X. And they said, we saw you on X.
And if Trump doesn't win, this will be the last real election in America.
Those are the most severe attacks on our election system.
By your country, the 2020 election was known as the most important election in history.
All right. You don't need to watch the whole commercial. You get the idea. What I didn't understand is they were advertising me coming.
Wow.
But they held my identity private. So this is what was happening. I was getting texts from everybody during the day, and this is what they noticed. Here we go. I am 100% sure that we will be able to expose the fraud. That's a pretty confident statement I made, isn't it?
Yeah, I saw your face was covered.
Yes. And that should have been, I mean, I didn't know they were going to do all this. So that's important to realize what was going on. I thought I was going to get in a plane. I was going to fly out there. I was going to be in a cubicle analyzing data for them. That's what I thought I was going to be doing. So the next day, I arrive at the airport after a long flight. They asked me to come incognito. So normally I'm dressed up, all patriotic and everything. But I came incognito. And the first words out of her mouth were from Jennifer's mouth. She's the one who speaks English. Gee, Dr. Frank, we're sorry we don't have 1,000 people here to greet you, but we tried to keep it low key because we were afraid the country wouldn't let you in. I mean, just think about this context that I'm setting up. Now, also arrived with me that day is his name is Morse Tan. He's an ambassador at large appointed by Trump in 2019. That's one of 3 people that can go anywhere in the world and have the authority to speak on behalf of our country. He's a very high-ranking ambassador in 2019. He also arrived at, and we were going to observe the early voting. And the reason why they wanted us there so quickly was because they wanted me a day before the early voting started. They have 2 days of early voting, Friday, Saturday, all in person. But you can vote anywhere you want in the country during that period. And then election day the following Wednesday, and that's all in person as well. So that happened. And what happened is, since there weren't 1,000 people, they gave me flowers. I was like, gee, nobody gives me flowers in America when I arrived. but I felt very welcome, in other words. But we walked over in front of this screen, it's for like in television interviews, and the South Korean podcast culture is huge. Everybody's on X, and everybody's talking to each other all the time on X. So I walk up, and we're doing this interview, and there are like 15 podcasters here. And the first question, the first podcaster asked me is, Dr. Frank, when is America coming to save us? I'm like, what? It's like, I didn't know anything. All I did was get in a plane and fly there, okay? They prepared all this promotional material. People were asking me for my autograph. I went over to the party headquarters. It's called the Freedom and Liberty Party headquarters. And all over Freedom and Innovation Party, sorry. There are huge banners all over the streets, all over the place, talking about this joint investigation team. that I'm now on. United States and Korea, stop the steal. Everywhere you turn, I met the prime minister and his wife. We spent a lot of time. I was there for 2 weeks. It's only going to be there a week originally, but because of everything that happened, which I'm about to describe to you, I stayed for 2 weeks. But he and his wife are amazing human beings. I love them. Beautiful Christian people. He's the former prime minister. He was prime minister during Trump's administration. And he's also, and his wife, she's brilliant. They are just an amazing couple. I'm very proud to know them and proud to call them my friends. So this was the whole team. We took a picture together for the election fraud. And our job was basically to monitor the 2026 election, which their general election is in June, and to do all of our analysis. And so it's still at that point, I have a few signals that something is amiss, but I don't know what I'm doing. So anyway, we watch the early voting, and they have a law in their state, in their country, that says during the election, you can't have any public officials speaking. It's kind of like a moratorium on public speeches. So instead of any public talks, I held press conferences, and Morse Tan held press conferences, and I was holding television interviews. This was an amazing interview. 1 million people were watching this live that's live. This is like the most popular podcast. You can see Jennifer's looking at me because she's handling the translation between us. But the first question out of his mouth was, Dr. Frank, when is America going to send the military? So, in other words, this is what the context that I'm in. So what happened is the election happened, and of course, you guys know me. I'm a data guy. I'm doing all my analyses. I'm showing data in real time. We did an interesting experiment. This is a great graph. What happened was we put people outside of every precinct, hundreds of precincts, with little clickers to count people as they voted. And we counted the number of people going into the precinct to vote. And then the nation reports, it's called the NEC, the National Election Commission, reports by the hour how many people have voted. So we tracked it. And we found dozens and dozens of precincts like this. And I'll just give you one example here. So starting in the morning, 6 o'clock, this blue curve is how many people went in. We counted them. And this is how many votes were reported coming out. Okay. And we have dozens and dozens of precincts like this. So that's what I'm talking about during the press conferences. And we're talking about how the fraud is happening and whatnot. So now there's a little bit of a break there, because in between the early voting and the Wednesday, there are a few days in there. So I went to church on Sunday. Let me tell you about that in a minute. But in the meantime, I was traveling around the country.
Can I just pause you for 1 second? Go back to one of those charts real quick.
Yes, this one here.
The one with the data, and there you go. Either one of them. I don't care.
Yeah, this is the one that shows the blue curve. The blue curve is the number of people who went into a precinct to vote. And the red curve is how many votes were being reported from that precinct, hour by hour.
Wow. Go back two more slides.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. This one here.
Yeah. I find it interesting that none of these have a 90-degree line. But anyway, go ahead and continue your story. Thank you.
But this is exactly like what in America. In this graph, I wasn't going to talk about it, but I'm happy to do it. This shows you how many people are in the voter rolls, and this shows you how many people are registered. And you notice that they basically have the same problem there that we have here, that they're inflating their voter rolls. Their voter rolls are growing faster than their population. And if we do a compare, and I made the same arguments there that I made here. In fact, Morse Tan, the ambassador, said, Dr. Frank, I'm amazed how fast you've learned what all the problems are in South Korea. I said, don't be amazed. I've been doing this every day in America, and it's exactly the same problems. And I'm about to explain why it's the same problem. This is going to blow your mind. All right. So anyway, what happened was in between our press conferences during the days, they were taking me around. This is the Ministry of Information. It's basically Propaganda Central. And this is the National Election Commission, where they run all their elections, and it's a totally corrupt institution. And here's what I'm trying to get to. This is going to blow your mind. So I took this picture. We went to a place called AWEB, the Association of World Election Bodies. Most people in America have never heard of it, but everybody in South Korea knows about it, and they don't like it. In fact, it's kind of a dirty word there. You don't bring it up in polite conversation. Like in America, we don't say the N-word in polite conversation. It's the same there. You don't talk about this because it's kind of a point of shame to them. It's been exposed as being very corrupt. They know that their elections are being corrupted through this organization. And this organization is the international cartel for election fraud. This is the organization that exports election fraud all around the world and teaches people how to do it. So it's like a point of shame to them. Well, you noticed my selfies, right? Wherever I go, I always take a selfie and post it online. That way people know where I am, what I'm doing. Well, I just did the same thing on HeyWeb. But I didn't realize I was committing a faux pas because you're not supposed to say this in public, right? The next day, guess what? I'm on the cover of their national conservative magazine talking about this image is not Dr. Frank is coming to America to help us observe our elections. This image is Dr. Frank is here investigating AWEB. This is like, boy, I stepped in it. Okay. This is a big deal. Suddenly everybody in the country knows who I am. And in their culture, they have this, they call it K-pop. It's their kind of their cultural, and people made the K-pop images of me. It's just totally hilarious. Okay. We're like the Four Musketeers, and we're here to save the country. We've got we go together. That's what this says in Korean. It's America and South Korea, and it's me and Hwang Kyo-ahn, former prime minister, and Morris Tan and Turney Park. Chu Hyun is his name, and we're there. We're the Four Musketeers. We're saving the country. Well, can you still hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Absolutely.
I'm going to show you. So something happened. I was sitting there in my room crunching away on data in my hotel room, and suddenly I remembered something after the AWEB stuff because I didn't realize its significance at first. And I remember this movie by Mr. Lindell back in 1991, Absolute Proof. Remember that was his first big movie?
Yes.
It showed all the electronic communications, all the electronic attacks coming into our country from other places in the world. Where are the two places over here from Asia? One of them is
Italy.
Huawei. One of them is Huawei over here on the left. And this other one, South Korea. That's AWEB. And that is basically the export hub for election fraud all around the world, right there based in South Korea. So I went over to this site. I went to the actual physical location of this website. It's a stadium, and they have a whole wall of computers there where they do all this manipulation from. I took pictures there. I could show you that, but that doesn't matter. What you need to realize is that when last year, for example, when Kash Patel said that that they seized 1 million fake driver's licenses and 1 million fake ballots that match those driver's licenses just out of Detroit. That was in October of 2020, right before the election. And I don't know if you noticed, but they're steadily releasing all sorts of information about cyber vulnerability and evidence they have. The reason they're doing that is they're implicating China. And that's and lo and behold, I'm right in the middle of this happening. It's amazing. But here's what totally blew my mind. To understand this, what happened, you need to know how the Koreans live. They don't live like we do, all spread out and flat. They live in these vertical villages. And there'd be like 10,000 people live in one village. And they love it this way. Their life is a fit. I don't like it, but they like to live this way. My interpreter, Jennifer, I said, man, I couldn't live this. I like living out in the country. She says, oh man, if I had my own house, she says, I'd have to clean it. They like living in their efficient apartments. But anyway, so what happened is, as I showed in that graph, there was a lot of cheating in the early voting, so much cheating that what happened is in a precinct that was just 5 minutes from where Hwang Kyo-ahn and we were driving around on election day, Wednesday, observing, one of the precincts ran out of ballots. I wonder why they ran out of ballots. Because there was so much cheating in the early voting. So anyway, what happened is that came up on X, and we're in the limousine driving around, and we said, hey, let's go check it out. So we drove over there, and I addressed the crowd. there were about 1,000 people there, maybe 200 or 300 in line waiting to vote. And so I addressed them and I said, you guys shouldn't turn in your ballots. Don't turn in any ballots until the NEC, the National Election Commission, until they give you all the ballots so everybody can vote. Because the NEC was declining to send them any more ballots because they said, we already sent you enough. So in other words, it's a bold-faced admission of fraud. They sent them enough ballots, but they ran out. That means people are voting who shouldn't be voting. So it's like a direct admission. So normally in America, I have to get all fancy with my statistics and show all this fancy graphs and everything like I was showing you a minute ago to convince people that there's fraud. I didn't have to do that here because there's hundreds of people here who didn't get to vote. So I said, you guys don't give them any of your ballots. Suddenly, 10,000 people came down out of their towers and surrounded the building and said, we're not giving them any ballots until they give us enough ballots so everybody can vote. Then Juan Qiuan got up and addressed the crowd and said, and by the way, before you give them the ballots, let's have a look at them. By the way, Trump showed up. Let's have a look at the ballots before we give it to them because we think a lot of them are fraudulent. So that's what's happening. So 10,000 people. And with this is all being watched. That's not my video. That's somebody out there in the audience. It's everybody is on X and everybody is showing video of themselves, live streams like crazy all over the country. So suddenly 2 or 3 other precincts within an hour were having the same thing. 10,000 people surrounded their building saying, we're not going to give away we're not going to turn in our ballots. So by the following day, we had about 40 precincts that were in the same situation. 4 days later, we had 120 precincts where they ran out of ballots. There was so much cheating and 10,000 people apiece surrounding each of those. Over 1 million people are protesting. So then what happened? In the following morning, early in the morning, 400 police showed up with shields and they pushed Juan Qiuan and the crowd out of the way. By the way, the people in South Korea are unarmed. You ever want a reason to, for our Second Amendment is so that this can't happen. So 400 police show up, they make a wedge and they force their way through the crowd, reach into the building and seize the ballots. So now what do you have? You have 10,000 pissed off Koreans. And so what do? They went and joined the neighboring precinct where there are 10,000 people. Now you got a group of 20,000 people. The police show up, force their way in, seize the ballots. Now you got 20,000 pissed off Koreans. You get where I'm going. Within a day, we had over 1 million people protesting all at once in 3 major centers in the country. And this was in Pyeongtaek where I first went. It is amazing to speak to hundreds of thousands of people all at once who are all protesting. What we did is we surrounded the Coliseum. This is at Pyeongtaek. It's south of Korea, south of Seoul, where there are several 100,000 people, and they're all shouting, Dr. Frank, because everybody knows me because of the AWeB thing. And they think I'm there because I'm bringing the cavalry, and we're going to rescue him. This is what it looked like at Seoul Coliseum the following night. And it's amazing. I'm like right here addressing this crowd where it's like hundreds of thousands. And what happens is when you talk through a bullhorn, it doesn't go to the back of the building. So they have people out in the audience with bullhorns repeating. And so it's like every time I would say something, it would be like a wave that went around the building of cheers.
That's cool.
And basically what is happening is all the ballots are in here and they're not letting them turn them in. They're not letting them get counted because they're saying there's too much fraud and everybody's chanting, we want a re-election. We want a re-election. And the director of the NEC resigned in shame, and that's a big deal in Asia for botching the election. This is 200,000. Let's see here. I got to turn this off, I think, to make this work. Here we go. What's going on here? Sorry, my pointer's fighting with me. Huh? Why are you doing that? Well,
Rob, so how much more of South Korea, and then we got to go to America? How much more?
Yeah, I got you. I just wanted you to realize the problem is they think we're going to save them. This is 200,000 people in. And that is 200,000 Koreans, Christian college students, saying, we want a re-election. We want single-day elections. We want hand counts. We want paper ballots. And it's three large groups of people. The young people, because their ex has been censored. The old people, because they remember the Korean War. And the Christians can't, because what's happened is the country has been taken over by the communists. And while I was there, the head of their National Intelligence Service, here we go. I know, I see how to do this now. The head of their National Intelligence Service handed me this book. It's called The Quiet Coup: How a Free Republic Was Engineered Towards Communist Capture. He gave it to me at my press conference, and I was reading it afterwards. And I'm telling you, this book is describing exactly what's happening right now in America. We are having the exact same thing happen here as is happening there. They just got taken over by a communist government, and they are changing their constitution right now to be not a free republic, but a socialist republic modeled after the Soviet Union. That is happening right now. And the reason I'm telling you guys this is because this is exactly what's happening in America. And people don't know it. And people are sitting on their butts waiting for somebody else to fix the problem, waiting for Trump to fix the problem. The churches there are on fire because they recognize that if communism takes over, they're as an existential threat. This is me addressing a church of 140,000 people. It's amazing what's happened. And I'll finish with this. It's 3 minutes long. You got to hear this. And then we can move to America. So you needed to hear this, though. This is super important.
No, it's very important.
I have a letter to America. Dear America, I'm a husband, father of 3. Well, 140 years ago, you came to our land and you taught us the Bible. So now I'm saved. Thank you. Thank you, America. And 1950 to 1953, you came to our land again. You fought for us. You protected us. Almost 36,000 American soldiers died, and more than 100,000 American soldiers got injured. You came to our land to protect us. You bled and died for us. You bled and died instead of us. Thank you. So I'm alive. And still, you are in our land. You're still protecting us. Thank you. And I'm sorry I didn't thank you enough. My brothers, sisters, fathers, mothers in America, in Christ, thank you and love you. From now, we're not gonna just ask for help. We wanna fight for you now. America is the strongest country, but America is fighting a lonely fight. You have your family, brothers and sisters here. From now on, we want to fight for you. America has to be stronger and wealthier. We want to make America stronger and wealthier and greater to protect people, protect the world, to protect freedom of faith. And thank you. So please help. It could be your words, military, finance. Give me some weapons so we can fight for you. Fight for freedom. Fight for freedom of our faith. Thank you. Love you, America.
Wow.
It's very compelling. After that visit, Hwang Kyo-ahn came back to America. He got to meet with Tina Peters and they prayed together. This was at the Fraud Fighter Conference in May. And the reason I like showing this is because people need to realize that this fight we're fighting is not just for us. It's for the world. Liberty survives in the world because America defends it. And I was in Wisconsin, bringing it back to America now. I was in Wisconsin a week or two after I was in South Korea, and that was when the president was giving his speech. And my talk ended at 8 o'clock. So I said, hey, everybody, let's just stick around and watch the speech, which we did. And then I was featured on an interview with Hwang Kyo-ahn. And guess what? They have a screen outside of the Seoul Coliseum where all the protesters are still there.
Dude, we got earthquake.
Right now, you just had an earthquake?
A small one. But continue. Sorry.
No worries. No worries. This is earth-shattering news. Perfectly. So,
right.
In other words, they're still protesting. And what was so beautiful is the next day, this appears on whitehouse.gov. What Trump is addressing is exactly what I've been telling everybody since the 2020 election. It's right down to almost to the letter, except for one thing. First of all, he started his speech with America's doing great. Why? Because he's about to bash us, and he doesn't want us to think it's his fault. America's doing great. You know, the economy's doing great. But then he said this is a great phrase: no trust, no greatness. In other words, America doesn't trust our elections anymore. We can't be great unless we have good elections. And he had 5 areas of concern, and he made some announcements. His announcement, he declassified a whole bunch of new evidence. This is important. People need to realize we have tons of evidence of fraud from 2020, for example, but when the Biden administration came into control, they hid it all. Well, he's now declassifying all of that. That's big. And he's also announced some new investigations, especially investigations into treason. That was news to me. He talked about the burn bags, and he came right out and called Obama a traitor, which is amazing. In other words, he has evidence that that evidence of fraud has been happening in our country, and it's been suppressed deliberately by our intelligence organizations. And then he also announced national support, that he's going to be providing support to states and counties. And I've been using that around the country in my work. So this is bringing it back. In the 5 areas he outlined, exactly what I've been covering for years. Our election data has been compromised. We have cyber vulnerabilities. There's the deep state suppression cover-up. That was new. I wasn't expecting that in his speech. Large-scale manufacture of fraudulent ballots and non-citizens in the rolls. All this stuff, except for the deep state suppression, is what I've been teaching people for years, and now it's all coming to the forefront. It's like, I could have told you so. It's awesome. So, basically, Trump has all the evidence. That's what's happening. That's where we're at. In America, I think I can stop sharing now.
No, keep it up and go to your web browser, 270 to win. I think it'd be better if we did it with you sharing than me, because
Okay.
I gotta keep everything together. So
Okay. Let me my web browser up. Then I didn't have it up. I'll bring it up. 270 to win.
yes, sir.
Okay.
I think you type the number 2, the number 7, the number 0, and then you type the words to win.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah. Okay. I got it there. I brought it up, and now I'll share that screen. Hang on.
And if we could, before Valerie does have a question for you. So
Sure.
hang on a second.
Can you see the screen? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Good.
You actually let's scroll down and get that map ready first before Valerie asks that question. So there's a way that you could let me do it myself so I know what buttons to hit for you. And there's a way that you could get a brand new map with
Blank map. Okay, I just made a blank map.
There you go. All right, perfect. Now Valerie is up.
All right. So voter ID requirements still vary significantly across the states. Can you break down the major differences between states that require documentary photo ID versus those that rely primarily on signature verification or other methods? Let's first label the no ID states, then we can add the other layers of fraud after.
Perfect. So I believe there are 14 states that are no ID. Let's go ahead and mark them all blue, sir.
Which ones?
Oh,
The no.
I'll have to tell them. Hang on a second.
Okay.
Now let me go to my Facebook post real fast because I posted about this. Now, you would think I'd have this memorized. Let's go ahead and tag California as no voter ID. Let's go
I'll
ahead.
mark them in red. Mm-hmm.
Oh, you don't want to. You don't want to mark them in blue. Mark them in blue for me.
Okay.
Yeah, and then let me find the rest of the states here. Hang on a second.
Sure. That
And
don't require ID.
anybody in the chat that might know it, you could plug it in as well.
I mean, states that do all mail-in voting, like Oregon and Washington, right? You don't have to show an ID to vote. And Colorado, I just was there. You don't have to show. I didn't mean to click that. How do I turn that off? It doesn't turn off. Reset map. I'll try again. Okay, blank map. Okay, so California. Oh, you wanted me to do it in blue. California. So Oregon, Washington, Colorado for sure, and they all and I think Arizona as well. But you're about to give me 12 states.
Yes, I'm still working on it. And then, do you know the states that still use the Dominion machine?
About a third of the counties, it's not by state, about a third of the counties in the country use Dominion, about a third use ES&S, and about a third use something else. That's actually about 40% ES&S around the country.
Okay.
But it's not statewide always.
And there's what, 4,800 counties?
4134.
Okay, 4134.
Hawaii.
3,000.
Hawaii is also Hawaii. We need to make blue as well.
Okay, there we go. So I marked those. But anyway, I didn't know you were going to get me with that question. I'm sorry if I was supposed to be prepared. My bad. I've been busy today.
That's totally fine.
Yeah,
it is totally fine. I'm actually embarrassed that I don't have my no ID states here, so I gotta go in my Facebook history to find it.
Okay. Well, what? How about if I did? I'll say which states do not require ID to vote. Okay, here we go. Voter identification laws by state. Here you go. Details by state. Well, it doesn't look like. Here you go. How about that? Voter ID is required in all the ones with blue, and the other ones don't require it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. These are the ones that don't require it. And here you are.
Perfect. So let's add Nevada. I think that's New Mexico.
That's Nevada. Yep.
In New Mexico, we add New Mexico. So let's go ahead and add those. And then I see Maine has no voter ID. Gosh, I had a post about this. It makes me so sad that I don't.
Yeah, Maine doesn't require it either. Mm-hmm.
New York.
Yep.
And that looks like Connecticut, New Jersey. God bless it. I'm so.
New Jersey, New York, Massachusetts, Maine, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Illinois, Minnesota, New Mexico, Nevada, California, Washington, Oregon. Washington has all mail voting. So, all mail in voting. So I don't know that you don't show an ID when you stick a ballot in the mail.
Crazy.
Well, let's talk about now the layers of fraud. Okay. So we know about people can just show up in these no voter ID states and vote. We know about the voter rolls could have people that are 125 years old.
Yeah.
We know that there's non-U.S. citizens that are voting in federal elections.
100%. I can go to whitehouse.gov and show you that.
Right. So
I'll do it while you're doing it. Yeah.
The idea is we got to color the country with all the states that have the possibility of the election being stolen. And we're going to find out that it's more than half of the country.
Can you see this okay?
Yes.
This is from whitehouse.gov. One of the things that Trump posted, what the White House has been doing, what the federal government's been doing is they've been going to the states and they've been saying, we will help you remove the non-citizens from your rolls. And this is an example. Georgia had 43,000 people dead in their rolls, and they can take them out, but they were still in their rolls. They have 2,500 non-citizens. So states that are cooperating with the government, they're helping them to remove. But in addition to this, the federal government is also saying, hey, county clerks, if you allow somebody to vote in your election who is not a citizen, we're coming after you. We're going to sue you because you are legally accountable for that. So that's a big deal. That's what's getting ready, ramping up to happen in November. We're about to have a major disaster in this country in November. I'm telling you right now. I've been saying it for over a year. People don't believe me, but I'm telling you, we're gonna have a constitutional crisis. If you look up Trump's 83rd executive order from his first term, an executive order that Biden renewed and has been re-renewed for this term, it gives the president, the executive branch, the authority to freeze everything around an election if there's foreign interference. Mm-hmm. Why do you think he's showing foreign interference? Why do you think I'm showing you foreign interference? Yeah. I'm showing you that South Korea, AWEB, is election fraud central. By the way, Soros started it 2007, and it was funded by USAID until this year. So that should give you, it's basically election fraud central. That's foreign interference in our elections happening. And the reason why the president's talking about it is because when the election doesn't go down the way it's supposed to go down in November, guess what's going to happen? We're going to have civil unrest because he's going to be stepping in and freezing everything all over the country because there are multiple states that are not cooperating. In fact, guess which ones it is? The ones that don't require photo ID. And if you're waiting for, a lot of people will say to me, oh, Dr. Frank, the SAVE Act, that'll save us. Wrong. If you think the SAVE Act's going to save us, you are confused. You need to wake up and smell the coffee, because the solution is not top down. The states are not cooperating, and the swing states are not cooperating, and it's a big deal. So it's going to be a disaster. It's going to be a head clash. We're going to basically have a war, at least a First Amendment war in November, and a lot of civil unrest. And I hope it doesn't lead to a Second Amendment war, but that's where we are headed, and people don't realize it. So
yeah.
I just got to ask you, with all these states, and I'm still going to get that total for you. I think it's like in the 30, maybe 34, something like this, out of 50 states have the ability for election fraud. Okay.
Every state, I'm telling you, every state has election fraud. Photo ID is not, it's just one of a dozen things.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase it. There are 34 states that have laws purposely made to have this wiggle room available to that.
I'll give you that.
Right. That's kind of what I meant. So yeah. I'm going to, start opening up questions to the panel members that are spread out throughout the country here shortly. But I do want to make sure that we cover the layers of fraud just before we go open up to Q&A real quick, Dr. Frank. And then the last question would be, what could you do as a citizen at that moment when you engage in one of those layers of fraud? Go ahead with the answer, and then I'm going to start building the list of the Q&A session. Go ahead, sir. Thank you.
So in 2021, Mr. Lindell made a documentary movie about my statistical analyses of elections, and I had proven in 5 states. They were Pennsylvania, Florida, North Carolina, Ohio, and Colorado. I proven that those elections weren't real elections, that they had been manipulated, and I showed it using statistics. And then President Trump featured me in his first public address after being out of office in Wellington, Ohio. I was his keynote speaker. So in other words, in those days, what we were thinking was all we had to do was show the public that there was fraud, prove statistically that there were problems, and people would wake up and engage. And when we would sit down with secretaries of states, and I sat down with 24 secretaries of states in 2021, 24 AGs. I was flying around with Mr. Lindell in his plane. We were visiting all these AGs and secretaries of states. We were hacking into their elections right in front of their faces, showing how vulnerable they were. We were collecting signatures for our Supreme Court brief. And we were doing that assuming that if we show the state officials the fraud in their elections, that they would like go, oh my, we got to fix this problem. We were wrong. We had to learn that not a single legislature in this country wants to fix our elections, wants to repair them. They all like it this way because it keeps them in control, keeps it central control. So that was basically 2021. So if you're thinking in terms of layers, if you're thinking this is a Republican problem or a Democrat problem, you're confused. No. This is both parties. There isn't one good legislature in the country that wants to fix this. And the example I always give is Kentucky has 105% of their people registered, and that's a red state. And Oregon has 105% of their people registered, and they're a blue state. It doesn't matter. Red and blue is irrelevant. In fact, this whole party thing is just to get you distracted. My favorite example of that is in Montana in 2024. The Republicans were all excited because they won the state Senate. They have 50 seats. They won it 32-18, and everybody's like, woohoo, woohoo, now we're going to do reform. Yeah, right. First week of their legislative session in 2025, 9 of their Republican state senators caucused with the Democrats. So this whole idea of Republican and Democrat is just, it's almost meaningless, which is why, for example, Trump can't get the SAVE Act passed, because the Republicans are not real Republicans. And it's, by the way, that's a very funny thing. I was over in Korea, and they have a party there. It's analogous to our Republican Party in America. It's called the PPP, the People's Power Party. And when I was asking about it, they said, we don't like that party. They're the rhinos. I said, what do you mean the rhinos? That abbreviation doesn't work. They're your PPP. But no, they get it. Their Republican Party has also been infiltrated and no longer represents the liberty and the freedom of the people. Same in America. Our Republican Party has abandoned us. It doesn't represent the people. So this whole Republican Democrat thing, I just don't even buy it anymore. It's you know, Trump doesn't have a single legislature in America that likes him. Okay, they can't wait to get rid of him. The only reason that the Republicans support him is because that's what they needed to do to win, not because they like him. So anyway, that's a whole another thing. But anyway, so I spent 2021 thinking that and most of us did, that all we had to do was get the evidence up to the top and they would address it. We were wrong. The solution is not top down. And if you're waiting for a court case to fix this problem, if you're waiting for the federal government or the legislature to fix this problem, you are confused and your head's in the sand. The solution is local. The fix is local. That's where your power is. And I've been going around the country now for 5 years, meeting with commissioners, meeting with county clerks, and teaching them how to take back control of your elections. And I've been succeeding in a lot of places. We don't bring attention to it because if you bring attention to it, then they get sued. But we've had a lot of success, but we're about to create some big tidal waves in a couple of states, Oregon and Colorado. I've got 8 counties in Colorado, and I got about 15 counties in Oregon. I'm not sure on an exact number yet, that are basically telling the state they're not going to use the state system anymore. They're going to take back local control of their elections for the November election. This is a big deal. And that alone is like a revolution in itself. It's basically saying to the government, your system's illegal. The federal government is prosecuting you for it. We're going to comply with federal law. We're going to comply with state law because our own state isn't complying with either law. So the solution is that bottom-up groundswell of citizens saying, we're going to re-engage. And I've mentioned it before. What I do is I teach people what I call the 7 steps. 7 steps for taking back our elections. This is a refined strategy. I've been doing it for 4 years. I've got all the steps laid out. I can tell you exactly what to do and how to do it. And I don't charge for any of my work, so I'm not selling anything to you. I've just been doing this for almost every day of my life, 25 out of 30 days a month now for almost 6 years, teaching people how to take back control of their elections. So that's the solution.
So we really need to real quick share your screen one more time, Dr. Frank.
Okay.
And you still got 270 to win, I think, up. So
let's see if I got it.
I got all the states ready.
Oh, you want me to get 270 win up again? Okay.
Yeah.
Hang on. Mm-hmm.
Bring your blank map back up.
Yeah, I got you. There you go. And I'm going to make
Wait.
a set map.
Oh, you could
All
have
right,
went.
I'm blank. Mm-hmm.
So go ahead and mark California, Hawaii, Oregon, Illinois, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Minnesota. We're going to talk about that tonight. Nevada, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York. We already said Oregon, Pennsylvania, Vermont. So these states do not require voter ID.
Let me tell you a story about Minnesota. In Minnesota, they have a history of a lot of Mennonite and Amish people. And those people are undocumented, right? They don't have public documents. They don't have driver's licenses. They don't have any kind of official registration. So in their state law, I know because I've been there and read it and worked with the people there, I'm allowed to bring with me, I could bring 12 people with me, totally undocumented people, and bring them into the polls and say, I'm Doug Frank, I'm a registered voter, see me right there? I'm vouching for these 12 people, and those 12 people all get to vote. So it's not just photo ID that is not required. You don't even have to have their names.
Wow.
And I can walk to the next polling place over and say, here they are again. And I can do that over and over again. That Minnesota has the most vulnerable corrupt elections in the entire country. I'm surprised Mike did as well as he did, but I didn't expect him to win given the place is set up the way it is. But anyway, I mean, I'm not barring a miracle, and God has given us a couple of miracles lately. Like, for example, God kept Biden alive so that the Democrats got stuck with Kamala. So, there could always be a miracle.
Okay. We're getting ready for the question and answer. Let's go ahead and mark Michigan.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Sure. All right. Mark Michigan. Okay.
Wisconsin, if you don't have it.
I did.
Florida, Colorado, Pennsylvania.
Did that.
Okay. And Georgia.
Georgia.
Texas, Oklahoma, and Arizona. Washington State. Well, no, not Washington State. Sorry, take Washington State off. So these are the states that still use Dominion at the national level that's been reported. Okay. And you could keep Washington blue because your justification for Washington being blue is 100%. It's mail-in ballot.
Correct.
So I reckon there's some states highlighted there. So those that are watching our live feed, this number of states allow voting to be the numbers be shady and allow some fraud and stuff like this. So let's go to Hawaii. Victoria has got the first question, and then we got some more states. Those that are watching the live stream, RedAmericaFirst.com, tell us what state you're in, and we want your opinions. Go ahead, Victoria. And guys, remember, this is lightning round, so keep it questions. Don't make it a personal statement. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Douglas Franks, for joining us. I really appreciate everything you're doing. So
I still haven't been to your state. It's one of 2 states I haven't been to yet.
I can tell you it's super bad. We had our primaries on Saturday. I did get to talk to our county clerk. I did invite him. Hopefully he gets to watch and educate and maybe come back to the show. Awesome. Anyway, let's get to the question.
Yes.
So a lot of people are disenfranchised from voting because they know it doesn't count. And we know we need the numbers to show that it doesn't count, but people are we literally had an elections commissioner show up. She had to fill out an application to vote in person. And she refused to vote because she's been voting since 1980. Why should she? She has ID. She's registered to vote, and they're making her fill out this application. And I didn't think twice about it at first, but then I saw her live, and I'm like, that's a good point. You know, they're making her fill out this information, and we're doing mail-in ballots also. So we have corruption coming in from all different areas. We've got the machines, we've got, you know, mail-in ballots, we've got multiple mail-in ballots being reported. And for general people, I mean, us not having our 2024 still technically official, for Hawaii County, people are just really disenfranchised. And I know enforcement has to happen on the state and county level. According to the House Speaker, you know, the Save America Act, we have to have the people involved. How do you recommend getting people involved? Because Lindell has done his, you know, bring your ballot, vote in person. You know, if they say you've already voted, you file a police report. Like, getting people information and clarifying, you know, this is what you need to do. On a grassroots level, what is your best tactic to empower the people to do this?
Great question. So the first thing is you need to understand the nature of the fraud. Most people do not understand the nature of the fraud. They're still confused. And let me illustrate what I mean. I'm going to make a graph here because I'm a scientist, so you got to make a graph. All right. Okay. Everybody has seen this graph.
No 90-degree lines are real. Come on.
Exactly. And everybody says, oh, Dr. Frank, the machines are flipping the ballots. No, that is not a machine flipping ballots. That is a machine adding ballots.
At the same moment of time.
Okay. And so people say, we need to do a recount. And I say, no, you're wasting your time. It doesn't matter how many times you count the cash in the cash register. What matters is how many of the bills are counterfeit. So everybody thinks that the solution is to get rid of the machines. Wrong. Everybody thinks the way to the solution is to audit the machines. Wrong. Am I telling you to not audit the machines? No, you should audit every part of an election, but you should be auditing the voters. Every ballot you counted needs to have come from someone who really voted. And a simple example is if you counted a ballot from somebody who's dead, okay, you know that person didn't cast that ballot. I've been teaching people how to find that. I call it 7 steps. I form a local team. I give them a copy of their voter rolls. I have it sorted in a particular way, which makes anomalies jump out. And the local people find the fraud in their own neighborhoods. Then those local people go to their county officials and say, this system that you're using is disenfranchising us from our civil rights, from our constitutional rights. And here's the hard evidence proving it. And by the way, you are now accountable because now you know this system is causing it. And so we're expecting you to disengage from this system that is compromising our constitutional rights. Then the counties say, oh, we can't do that because the Secretary of State says we have to do this and this and this. Then you say, no, guess what? The federal government is suing the Secretary of State in your state because you're not in compliance with federal law. So you have a choice. You can either comply with your state or you comply with the federal government. And when you comply with your state, the federal government's going to sue your butt at the local level in your own county. So it's your choice. You can either back up your own citizens and protect the integrity of your local election, or you can join with your corrupt Secretary of State and rip off your citizens. Your choice. But if you choose the second, the federal government's coming after your butt and we're going to sue you for treason.
Very good question from Hawaii.
So did I answer that question strongly enough for you there, Victoria?
Yes. Now we're going to go to our magazine editor-in-chief, Rosemary. Go with your question. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Frank. Your information has been extremely enlightening. And I would like to ask you if you would be so kind to write or send me information for our September and October.
The 7 steps, we could put it in.
Well, yeah, I was thinking of the nature of the fraud as part of it, and then the 7 steps to address the fraud, because my September and October issues are going to focus on the fraud and also the differences between communism, socialism, capitalism, and so forth, and the importance of this vote, in November, the midterm elections, and to try to get people to understand the consequences of their vote in this, in this cycle. And certainly the fact that you did say that there would be it could lead to a disaster. We need your information, your input, and if you would be so kind as to send me something that I can put into September and October, I would be very, very grateful.
Just send me an email and I'll reply to it. And my email, and anybody who knows it, that's public, Dr. Douglas G. Frank at outlook.com. Dr. Douglas, Douglas, G like George, Frank, Frank at outlook.com. Send me an email and ask for me, and I will send you lots of stuff. I have tons of stuff up already on my YouTube channel, and that's Douglas Frank 5204 on my YouTube channel, and you can see that as well. But I'm happy to give you digital copies of everything. I don't charge for any of my work. I see this as my tour of duty, my chance to serve my country. I'm a physicist. I did that for 40 years. I got 60 scientific peer-reviewed publications, leading articles in the on the world's leading journals. I'm a scientist by training, numbers guy, computer guy, and I've turned into this. This is my tour of duty, serving my country, to thank my country and defend the liberty that I grew up under, that it's not now going to be there for my children unless we now act now. And I tell people, imagine if Kamala was our president right now. Okay. That almost happened. Okay. We are on the edge and people are asleep and everybody's sitting on their hands waiting for Trump to fix it. Chris Ann Hall calls it the Trump slump. That's the best description I've heard. Oh, we elected Trump. He's going to fix it. Wrong. You're going to fix it, and you have to fix it at your own local level. And if you don't do that, and if you're sitting on your hands, then the excrement's going to hit the fan, and you're not going to be ready for it. I like telling people, imagine if you knew that Pearl Harbor was going to happen right today, okay, in December, and you had all these months to prepare, but you didn't do anything, but you waited for it to happen before you got ready. That would be stupid. Don't be stupid. I'm telling you, we are headed for a constitutional crisis. If you're waiting to watch and sit by the sideline and eat popcorn, then you're waiting, and then your children and your grandchildren's future are in jeopardy. You need to engage now. When all this stuff happens, you need to be ready to engage. And that's what I'm teaching people how to do. That's what the 7 steps are all about. The problem with election integrity movements around the country is there's too many individuals doing that. And I learned early on that, I work hard, but I'm only one guy. I will not win this war alone. Would I fight the Germans alone? No. I want a whole army, and I need platoons and infrastructure and intel, and I need to organize. That's what the 7 steps does. It organizes you into a functioning platoon that can actually accomplish an objective. And I've used a lot of war terms because we're in a war. And if you don't realize we're in a war, you're losing because we're in a war. And that's why I carry around the Art of War with me, because I read the Art of War almost every day, almost like I read the Bible every day, because you have to have a war mindset because we are at war. And if you don't understand that, you're confused. You need to wake up, smell the roses. That's why I've been telling you about Korea. Korea is real. They just lost their country. And you have to realize in 2024, they were a democratic, freedom-loving country with a duly elected president. He got into office. He thought, oh my goodness, look at all the fraud there's everywhere. And you know what he did? He declared martial law in December of 2024. He sent the military out to collect all the computers from the elections, to collect all the computers from the provinces with showing all sorts of other kinds of fraud. 3 hours later, their National Assembly impeached him. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
They impeached him, and they put all the military leaders in prison, and he's serving 3 consecutive life terms in prison. That was 2024. So they elected him, duly elected him. They put him in prison, and then in 2025, they ran an election and put a communist in office, and then they took the majority in their National Assembly, like our Congress, this year. So in a mere 2 years, they've taken a country from being liberty to a communist country, but it wasn't a mere 2 years. It was a steady, gradual, decades-long setup to make this happen. And guess where it started? The universities. And then next, the law system and the education and the legislatures. And I just told you that our legislatures are totally infiltrated. We are poised for a takeover. And Trump loves our country, and he's not just going to roll over and give it away. So it's going to be a fight, and we need to be ready to engage that fight. And if we aren't organized to engage it, okay, fat chance. So that's what I'm doing. I'm out there organizing the troops.
Thanks for that hard work. As always, we're going to go to Pennsylvania here with Sharon, and then it's Ron, Nevada after that, Susie, Hawaii, Rob, Ohio, and then Bill in Pennsylvania. So go ahead, Sharon. We can hear you after you click on mute. Go ahead.
All right. So, hi, Dr. Frank. So I'm one of those local people who work the elections. So this is what I've been saying for the last 5 years. What do we do when you see the iPads that or you can't close down after the elections? And this is bipartisan, Democrats and Republicans closing down the iPads. Then we also have the machines going down the last few elections. So what can we do about that? And this is bipartisan. I
don't care about parties.
Exactly. Democrats and Republicans, we all saw this go down in real time. And I reported it. So what can we do about this? And this is very local, Delaware County, Pennsylvania.
Been there. I know that county.
Mhm.
I started my election work there, working with your legislature. I was one of the 6 people on your formal audit that Doug Mastriano asked for. So that's where I got started. In fact, that's where I discovered the algorithms first that Mr. Lindell featured in his documentary movie, Scientific Proof. So I've been working a long time in your state. The problem in your state is you guys are waiting for somebody else to fix the problem. Who's going to fix this problem that they're taking down our machines? Who's going to fix this problem that they're blocking us out? The gal who asked me about the communism thing, I love quoting Stalin. Stalin said, "Is it enough that the people have an election? It doesn't matter who casts the votes. What matters is who counts the votes." And your own clerks are not even counting their votes. You're not counting your votes. Your votes are being counted in the cloud somewhere. As long as you're letting someone else control your election, it isn't going to have a chance of being audited and being real. As long as you are trusting the system, you are in trouble. You can't use the system. You can't fix the system. You have to take back local control of the system. How do you get local control? You prove locally that the system is defrauding you of your civil rights. And you go to your local people, your local managers, and you say, not only are we wasting all this money, but this system that you're using is disenfranchising me from my constitutional rights. And we, this group of 50 citizens standing here, are going to hold you accountable for every one of our violations. And this list of dead people who voted, this list of non-citizens who voted, this list of people who don't live here anymore and voting in another state, and somebody is using their name here to vote. This proves that this is happening, and we're holding you accountable. And by the way, in Pennsylvania, every county official I know, because I've done a ton of work in Pennsylvania, every county official is insured by a bond. And it's $100,000 bond, and you can sue them for their bond, their surety bond. As a citizen, without an attorney, you can sue them for their surety bond. And I've read the contract that your county officials sign to receive that bond from the insurance company. And the insurance company lists very clearly right in the letter. They say, if you break any laws, we will not back your bond. In other words, individual county officials are legally going to become personally responsible for $100,000, and you can sue them for that. So you have power. You just don't realize the power you have. You need to use that power, and you need to engage. As long as you're sitting back waiting for somebody else to fix the problem, ain't nothing going to never happen. You have to form a team, you have to make a strategy, you have to find the fraud, and you have to engage the battle. That's my advice to you. How about that?
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was good question there. Now, I have to look at my list here. So after Sharon, it's Ron. Ron, Nevada, go with your question. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for being here and educating us once again. I appreciate you very, very much.
You're welcome, sir.
My question is, what is going to happen when it's determined that there's been a ton of fraud during the election? I know you don't have a crystal ball, but your best guess as to what is going to happen, because there's going to be a lot of fraud exposed because it's being looked at more closely. So what happens when that's determined that there's tons of fraud happening in this state or that state?
So read President Trump's 83rd executive order from his first term. He had 2 executive orders on election issues. The 75th executive order he passed established an election committee to examine the 2016 election. And he put Pence in charge of that, and that went nowhere. They disbanded that committee. So that is gone. The second one, the 83rd executive order, read that order. That is what will happen. He will declare a state of emergency, and he will freeze all the funding, all the processes. And when he does that, you can imagine the unrest that will happen. Oh, he's a king. He's trying to be a king. Oh, it's Trump. He's a sore loser. That's what's going to happen. And then, of course, there'll be unrest in the streets. You think that our enemy is just going to roll over and say, okay, you win? No way. We are headed for a conflict, and we have to fight it like a conflict. As long as we just roll over and let them have it, we're going to just keep losing. We have to say enough is enough. We're drawing a line in the sand, and we've got just the guy leading us, our general leading. I think of myself as a colonel out in the field fighting. I think of him as the general, but that's what I think is going to happen. So if you're asking me what's going to happen, that's what's going to happen. That's why he's talking about international interference right now and China interference. He's setting us up. He's moving. It's called the Overton window. He's bringing election fraud into the public discussion and foreign interference into the public arena so that it can be discussed without sounding like a wackadoodle. Now he's releasing the fraud. I mean, he declassified Kash Patel. He was able to release 1 million fake driver's licenses. And there's much, believe me, I've been in skiff rooms with some of these federal agents. We have mountains of evidence from 2020. Everybody thinks all we need to do is get evidence. If you're waiting for evidence to fix the problem, you are confused. Evidence is what we need. We need a movement. Trump did a tweet last year where he said, he didn't say, I'm going to sign an executive order to fix elections. He says, I'm going to lead a movement to get rid of mail-in ballots. That is a huge difference. Where's his movement? You're the movement. Start being the movement. Get it organized, and let's go. Politicians don't start parades, they join them. You have to start the parade that he will then lead. That's where we're at as a country right now. Problem is everybody's sitting around on their hands waiting for somebody else to do something. How about that for an answer, Ron?
Thank you very much.
Wow, you're going to get me in trouble with Rosemary getting go backs. We usually mute the people when they ask the question, so don't get mad at me, Rosemary, because I'm juggling a lot of stuff here. Valerie's got a quick question for you.
I just wanted to
Dr.
bring up
Frank.
something because I saw this a couple of weeks ago, but they're like you were saying that people have to go and bring their own, sue their local government. So there are some people who've been doing this. Kristen
Yes.
Lavelle of Evans, Columbia County, Georgia. She sued locally, and I guess her case is going to a Supreme Court level. So are you familiar with her?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So like kind of follow in her footsteps. But she represented herself.
Well, Sharon asked the question from Pennsylvania. I don't know if you remember, Sharon, but in 2021, I was traveling through multiple counties in your state, and I was bringing election fraud right to the county clerks because I was still thinking at that time that all we had to do was show the officials what was up and they would do something. And I can tell you a number of stories, but let me just tell you two. One story, I sat down with the county clerk. She says, I was only hired 3 weeks from the election. I didn't know what I was doing. My numbers did not reconcile by a lot, by like 20%. She says, and I didn't want to certify my election. And the Secretary of State called me and said, you certify it or we're going to put you in jail. Okay. And so, in other words, pressure from the Secretary of State to comply with what she knew was a fraudulent election. Now, I use that as a setup for the next thing, because when we would bring fraud, she's a good clerk. She's an honest person. She didn't know what she was doing. She knows it was wrong. And she's now one of our inside people giving us good information. But there are other clerks, when we would bring the fraud, they quit because we said, you either are going to cooperate with us or we're suing you. And they don't want to be responsible for the $100,000 personally. And they know they didn't follow the law. So they know they're going to be personally liable for it. So we use that as a stick to bring our clerks into compliance. But in Pennsylvania, a third of your clerks resigned rather than because they knew they were in danger. And that's good and it's bad. It's good because it shows you have the power. It's bad because then you bring in a new person who doesn't know nothing. And you end up having to re-educate a clerk, and they don't know what they're doing either. And all these systems are all technical, and they don't know what they're doing. They're just pushing buttons and clicking buttons. And I tell people, the clerks say, "Oh, I'm in control of the election, Dr. Frank," and I'll say, "Yeah, tell me how that went." At the end of the day, you took a stick out of that machine and you plugged it into that machine, and somewhere out in the cloud, the votes got counted. That's not in control. You're just a dumb terminal, as we call it in the computer business. You're not doing nothing local. Everything's being done remote. You think you're in control, but you're not. I'm starting on a rant right now, but I'm talking about the suit. I'm reacting to the suit thing. It's a powerful lever. We use it all the time. Wow. Good question, Valerie.
Thank you.
Good question, my sweet wife. Now let's go to Hawaii.
Your sweet wife. I like that. I call her my lovely bride. Yeah, I've been married 44 years. I love every second of it.
Yeah,
that's not the truth, but it's close.
Susie is next, and then Rob Ohio, and then we're gonna go to Pennsylvania with Bill, and then Rosemary's gotta go back. Lewis in Florida. Susie, go ahead. Aloha. How are you doing?
Aloha, Ashley and Valerie and Dr. Frank, and really enjoying this presentation and appreciating it because you probably don't have an idea, or maybe a small idea of how desperate we are in Hawaii.
I have an idea. Yeah. You guys are so desperate, and you're seeking legal means because of the chain of custody stuff. And I'm telling you, that's not going to go where you need to go. And if you're waiting for that lawsuit to fix it, you're going the wrong way. You need to have local action.
I totally agree with you. We have a couple of roadblocks there, but you were right on target about the state of emergency. That was the one thing that I was going to ask you about, because I know there's been innuendos about Trump declaring it, and this couldn't be a better time before the November
election. That's coming. I'm telling you, that's coming. I stake my reputation on it.
And the courts being stacked. We've got cases of the Supreme Court, and I agree with you about the legalese. It's just, I know JAG has moved into several states and cities to speed up the process. So I'm hoping we can see something like that over here. One of the things I'd spoken to you about before was that we have such an entrenchment here, and we've got plenty of evidence to rock the establishment. The problem is their nails are dug in. They won't move until they're physically removed. And so that turns into a civil issue, you know what I'm saying? And that is really what we're dealing with in Hawaii realistically. So it's kind of a different nature. People aren't going to leave out of embarrassment. They're going to leave when they're pulled out of their chairs. You're going to see a lot of that. So I'm
sorry. Go ahead, finish. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, Chris Ann Hall and I had a public discussion on this last year about this time, and we recorded that video. It's online. But she said, if you study history, what you'll learn from history is that all you need is 3% of the public awake and engaged, and you can have a nonviolent revolution. And that's what you're after. Then otherwise, you're right. It'll turn into a physical removal.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, behind the scenes, and the media, of course, won't ever share this, but Hawaii has generously tipped towards the red. But the problem is the suppression. The suppression is absolutely monstrous here. This is the pearl of the Pacific. It's the play yard of the elite. They are not going to let this go without kicking and screaming and taking as many people down with them as they can. So it is a little bit of a unique situation we have here, plus the fact that we're, detached from the mainland continent. So there's a lot of accountability issues because they are so removed and each island is isolated. So it's very easy for the entrenchment because of these unique situations. So it does require a little bit more muscle than, say, another state where you've got people coming from this county, they can do this and this and this. Hawaii doesn't exactly have that ability.
So think of it like World War II. Think of it like the war in the Pacific. We are fighting an enemy who wants to take away our liberty. And if it's just individuals fighting, we're not going to get anywhere. You need to sit down around a war table with a map, and you need to say, how are we going to take back our beautiful islands? And how are we going to do this? And then you need to come up with a strategy, and you need to implement that strategy. And that's what this is. The 7 steps tells you how to do that. It walks you through each of the steps you need. You need to think of it like you're forming a war council, because as long as it's just you, I'm sure you're a smart, lovely person, but as long as it's you fighting, you're not going to win a war. You got to have platoons and brigades and intel and research and infrastructure, or you're not going to win. So we have to build that infrastructure. Our enemy has been doing that for decades, which is why they're winning.
We'd love to have you here for a round table. Sooner the better. Thank you.
How am I doing?
So
I'm not dismissing your question. I'm trying to address your point.
Thank you for that, Susie. Now I gotta get, man, I juggle a lot of stuff here. Now I gotta get my next person up here. So I think that's Rob. Let me make sure. Hang on.
He was waiting and he somehow got deleted or something.
Rob is
Bill
next.
Allen down there. He had his hand up for a long time too. Yeah.
Rob is next. Go ahead, Rob. Thank you.
Hello, Dr. Frank. It's good seeing you again. My question is when it started out, you're saying to start locally to take back the power. Isn't that how it was corrupted originally, was locally, and then it grew out until it's this blossomed?
No.
Flower here.
NVRA is where it started. 1993, the federal government said, we want you to keep central voter rolls. And then 2002, HAVA, federal government said, we wanted you to use electronic machines. It's come from the top down, and they paid their way into the system.
Okay.
Now, if you were in West Virginia, I've met with those legislators. They would say, we don't want the local people to have their own elections because we don't trust them, because there were corrupt unions that were manipulating it locally. And I think that's what you're referring to. But there are specific situations. I understand what you're talking about. But this the way the system is now didn't start locally. The way the system is now was imposed federally, then at the state level, down to the county level. How about that for an answer?
Well, one more question then. Another way to ask this. Given the Supreme Court, the way they've been ruling recently, how great of a trust do you have that they would side with the Constitution?
I don't trust any court.
Okay. Well, I guess that would be a good answer then.
Yeah, right now our courts are infiltrated, our legal system's infiltrated. I don't trust any court. Right now, the people I trust are you at the local level fighting for liberty. That's what it's coming down to. I don't mean to be flippant about that. Let's say we go to court, and let's say the Supreme Court makes a ruling. So what? The states are still going to break the law. The situation we're in right now is the states are refusing to comply. So there are dozens of states that are right now saying to the federal government, we don't care what you say. We're going to keep using our system the way it is, even though we have non-citizens. I mean, I just came from Colorado. Holy mackerel. They're a sanctuary state. They're telling the government, we're going to put non-citizens in our roles and we're going to let them vote. You're not going to do anything about it. This is like they don't care what the Supreme Court rules. They're going to do what they're going to do. So that's the big deal about courts. When I say I don't trust a court, it's not that I just don't necessarily trust the people in this court. The system, if you're waiting for the system to address the problem, we win court cases all the time. I'll give you a perfect example. In Lodi, California, San Joaquin County, we were working with the sheriff there, and we caught a city councilman stuffing ballots illegal because the system makes it super easy to cheat. And we caught him with 70 ballots on his kitchen table, 70. Okay. We took him to court. He pled guilty. It took 3 years to finally convict the guy. We put him in jail finally in 2026 in January. The courts don't. So even when you win, now think about this case. We proved that the system is easy to cheat. We caught a guy doing the cheating. He pled guilty to 70 felony counts of election fraud. We put the guy in jail. Have they fixed the system? No. It's still just as easy to cheat. And now anybody who wants to cheat can still continue to cheat. So my point about the laws is if you're waiting for the courts to be the solution to fix the problem, you're not going to get the remedy you need from the court cases. The remedy is when the local citizens say, we're not going to put up with this crap anymore. We are going to defend our elections. We're going to defend our constitutional rights. That requires the people to step up. That's when nothing happens until that happens. How about that for a long, rambling answer?
Yes. He likes that. We're going to go to Pennsylvania now.
Forgive me for being a professor. Yeah.
A new member to Red America First organization out of Pennsylvania. Go ahead, Bill Allen, with your question. Thank you, sir.
Well,
hi, Bill.
Hello, Dr. Frank. I've been at 5 of your events already. I also saw you at CPAC. Spent time in the hallway with you.
I remember that. Good to see you
seen
again.
the symposiums, okay, that you talked about with Mike Lindell.
Yep.
Spent my whole time on my computer watching the symposiums.
Thank you.
You know, I was there when the South Koreans were at CPAC. I got their book and everything. I believe there was election fraud there. Totally a takeover with the Chinese Communist Party. Yeah, I have that. They gave it to me there. And
what's your question? What's your question?
I'm going to get to it. I just need to. But here we are with all information, totally information.
Yep.
And you know, I've been working at this for a long time with election integrity. When you go down to the county, I just did this spring, and I want to see the ballots. Well, he let me see the ballots. In the meantime, he slips up and says they're certifying the election. They didn't count 20,000. 20,000 mail-in ballots were not counted.
Which
and
county?
They certified the election, Lehigh County, Pennsylvania.
Okay. Yeah.
Up in Allentown.
Yep.
Okay, I know you have, okay. But they did not, they certified an election with 20,000 ballots not counted.
Yeah, yeah.
How can we certify an election like that?
You can't.
Right. And then I go and talk with the Lehigh County Republican, one attorney of the Republican Party, and he says, well, you can't bring a case. And I'm looking at him. What do you mean? As a per se, I can bring a case.
Yes,
like
you
you're
can.
Talking about.
Yes, you
and
can.
File that case. And because I've done per se work.
Right, right.
A few times.
Let's say you win the case, then so what?
Right, that's the issue. So what? I win it. Who's going to enforce it?
Exactly. As long as it's just you going down there talking to your clerk and your commissioners, you're wasting your time, brother. It needs to be you and 50 other people.
Right. When you're talking about is we the people, we got to have enough. You know, when someone talks about voter suppressions, we suppress our own vote by feeling defeated. How do we bind together? I joined this group because someone sent me to the girl in Delaware County, she invited me to this.
Yeah.
Little did I know you'd be speaking, but you're one of my favorite people that I've been following since 2020. I work
Well, at
with
least I'm
Tony
authentic.
Shook.
I may not always be right, but I'm authentic.
You know, but you're consistent.
Right.
Your facts, when you study their facts, the facts are there.
Yes.
And I worked with Tony Shook for 4 years with the Pennsylvania Patriot Coalition.
Yeah, and Audit the Vote PA. I'm on the board of directors of that, by the way.
I worked with them, with her. I chose Philadelphia as my pet peeve to get into the communities. I spent 4 years in the streets down there.
Right.
Waking up people is the hardest thing we do. We need to be organized. We need to be together. And that's why I go to this. I go to the Dan Schultz's precinct strategy calls. I get all over the place. I need more information, and then the application of the information is what got to be disseminated.
So let me address that. So Jesus Christ went home to Nazareth. How did that work out? It was a disaster, right? They tried to, okay. So your problem is that you're the local schmuck, okay, and you're not going to be successful with this strategy. You need to build a movement, and to build a movement, you can't do it yourself in your own community. You will fail. Jesus Christ couldn't do it. What makes you think you can? Okay. You need to bring in the outside. You need to bring in the outside catalyst. That's what I'm good for. That's what Seth Keshel's good for. That's what Mark Cook's good for. That's what Professor Clements is good for. That's what Mike Lindell's good for. You bring in the outside catalyst and then what happens is you'll have 50 or 100, maybe 200 people show up for the event. You get their names, and then you get their names and you form a team and you make a strategy, and that's how you win. As long as it's just you fighting, I'm telling you, brother, I love you, but you're going to lose. Yep.
Oh, thank you. That was a good question from Pennsylvania. Yeah. Welcome to the team, Bill. You are part of a Patriot family, and we excited to work with you. Now we're going to go to Florida. Luis, tell us what's happening. Go ahead with your question. You got to unmute first. Wait.
Luis, you're muted there, brother.
Unmute first, buddy. You're going to get prompt. There you go.
There he goes. I've got my eye on you. I can see you've got your eye on me too.
I have watched you since the very minute you started, sir. So your strategy is good. I'm a very type A personality, and I know where we're falling short. Right now, my wife worked elections here for about 10 years, and we followed participation, and that's where we know things bite the bag. Because so far, now we have primaries lasting for a couple of weeks. Primaries close up the Sunday long term, and then they vote on Tuesday. But right now, the participation rate in Hillsborough County, Florida is 12%. Do you see the problem?
If you only have 12%, think about it. That's 12% of registered voters. And what you realize is you have all the rest of those names are available for cheating.
I respect that. But the fact of the matter is, at one time, early voting was 35%. Okay, of registered voters.
I just came from the Panhandle there in Florida, and I'm trying to remember the name of it. I want to say Santa Maria or something up there. 30% of your ballots are coming in by mail now in Florida. You've given away your elections. You need to go back to local in-person voting.
Okay, that 12% included mail-ins. Now, our mail-ins are handled a lot very carefully in Florida. We purged.
Wait, Luis. Let's make sure he knows you're in Hillsborough County. He's in Hillsborough County.
I'm in Hillsborough County, Florida. Okay, this is my home of residence for my entire life. In Tampa, Florida, and that's my place of residence. Okay. So, and my wife had worked elections, and I'm a concerned type A personality who is concerned about every aspect of this free country. I served my country. My father, most all my relatives have served this country. So blood has been shed by many, and we're prepared to do it again if we have to. But right now, our problem is, and when I try to reach people, just to get a feel, I'm not structuring anything, I'm just getting a feel, the most apathetic, diuretic bunch of human beings living in this country today. If it's not totally about them, they don't want to be a part of anything. And it's frustrating the niblets off of me trying to figure out what strategy would help. Now, you said
I already told you
build a
what will
team.
help.
You said build a team. Now,
No.
you said invite people. Yes, you did.
Yep.
I'm listening to you.
That's the 7 steps. Yep. Show me your team. Let's go.
I can't get anybody to participate. You weren't listening to me.
So invite me for an event and 100 people will come and then you'll have your team.
But I can't afford you.
I'm free.
He's free. He's free. All right, Lewis, that was a good question, sir. Thank you for that.
People,
He gave you my answer. That's okay.
I am free. I don't charge anything for my work. You invite me, I put you on the calendar, we hold an event, you pass the hat at the end of the event. If it's enough money to pay my expenses, I'm happy. If it's not, I'm not happy, but I still do it anyway. I just came back from Colorado and I'm a net 1,000 in the hole. Sometimes I come back positive. By the way, here's your Hillsborough County.
You have a small window that's overlaying on top of that. Maybe you can move that one. That's like a little rectangle.
Oh, I see it here, this thing.
Yeah, just move that out of the way.
Yeah. Is that better?
It's still there. Okay, it's gone. Thank you.
Hillsborough, 1/3 of the people in your roles are registered illegally. Okay, so there you go.
I disagree. I disagree with you.
Wait, he's looking at actual data, Luis. Let's not.
I'm looking at it right now. I'm looking at your voter rolls as of June of 2026. 1/3 of your people are registered illegally.
And then what else is the data showing, Dr. Frank?
How about obituaries? Okay, you've got in your county, you got 196 dead people in your rolls. Okay, here it's coming up right now.
So the rolls are just out of date, Lewis, and it's common at the county level for these things to happen. So
these are all dead people in your rolls, and look how many of them are active. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on that one page. 6, 7, 8. I could sort by that. Let's get active. How many dead people are active in your rolls? You've got 27 dead people in your rolls who are active, and I bet you if we search it, they're getting mail-in ballots, and that makes it so easy to cheat. The problem is that you are not in control of your elections, and until you take back local control, as long as you're letting the state control your rolls, you're vulnerable like this. Yeah.
Now, Lewis, you have any go back before we go to Rosemary?
Yeah,
You're still muted.
I tell people all the time, if you want to start a movement, you will not succeed if you try yourself. It's not because you aren't a great patriot. Come to my county in Ohio, where I live, Warren, Ohio. There's nothing happening here. Everything I've tried to start flops. Why? I'm the local schmuck. Jesus Christ couldn't do it in Nazareth. I shouldn't expect to be able to do it in my own hometown either. You shouldn't expect to be able to do it in your own hometown either. I cost nothing. Bring me in. I will have an event. I'll get you a whole list of volunteers and we'll get your team going. That's what I offer free all over the country. I do it every day. Why do you think I'm on the road 25 out of 30 days a month? So there you go.
Lewis, you're still muted, but we got to move on. If you wanted to say anything to him, you got to unmute yourself.
Do it again. Okay. Am I unmuted?
Yeah.
Yes, there you are. We hear you loud and clear, Lewis.
You can say something nice to close it, then we go to Rosemary.
No, I'm just going to close it. I heard it. I think your offering is extremely more than generous, and I'm going to just see what I can do. All right, sir, Dr. Frank. I just find a way to get a hold of you.
Send me an email and I will send, because I do this every day. So I've got all this organized so nicely and I have people that help me with my scheduling. So send me an email and I will send you a list of steps to complete and I'll be there.
10-4. You're copied. Thank you very much. I'm going to mute back.
Copy that. Thank you. Rosemary, go ahead.
Yes. Once again, thank you. Now, you mentioned that...
I'm back. I kicked the power switch when I leaned back.
Oh, okay.
Can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Good. I have to put my sound back on too.
You mentioned that
Sorry about that.
people
There we go. I'm
that-
back now. I leaned
that-
back and kicked the power switch. How about that?
you mentioned that the voters can demand an audit of the votes. Okay. What would the procedure be in doing that? Or can a law be passed rather than recounting votes to audit votes when someone wants to check on the validity of an election? And also, I did want to just ask you, your email was drddouglasgfrank@gmail.com?
Dr. Douglas G. Frank at hotmail.com. Did I say Gmail?
Hotmail.
If I said Gmail,
Outlook.
sorry about that. It's
I heard Outlook, but that's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, everybody erase Dr. Douglas G. Frank at outlook.com.
Okay, got it. I'm glad.
All right, Rosemary, you got it, though.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you for catching me.
On the audit.
Oh, yeah, we're talking about audit. Yes.
What would be the procedure, and can a law be passed rather than have recounts to have audits done in lieu of recounts?
Recounts are not the right approach.
Yes, you mentioned that. That's why I'm asking this question.
You're not auditing the votes. You're auditing the voters. It's called the list of electors. So if you're a candidate, for example, most candidates don't even know this, which is just shocking to me. You would think that candidates would know their own rights, but they don't. Every candidate has the right to the list of electors. And so when the election is certified, a candidate has the right to look at everybody who voted in their election and say, hey, wait a minute, that person isn't a citizen. That person doesn't live here. How come that person's voting in my election? They have a right. Every candidate has that right, and they have a period of time. So let me give you a simple example. There's a small town in Maine. It's called Ellsworth, Maine. They have about 3,000 people that voted there. And the way they select city leaders in Maine, they call them selectmen, is everybody throws their name in a hat who wants to be one of the county city leaders. And then the top 3 vote getters are the people who are the selectmen. Well, the guy we wanted to win was number 4. So the day the election was certified, we got the list of electors. He only missed it by 1. And he missed the second place person by 2. So all we had to do was find 3 people at least in the list of electors who shouldn't have voted in his election. We sat down with a team of people, and within an hour, we found 12 people who voted in his election who were not legally entitled to vote in his election. And they were from Bahaba. They weren't from Ellsworth, and they weren't supposed to be voting in his election. So we found that. We went to a judge. We showed the judge. Judge says, yep, this election's invalid. Of course, that makes me really unpopular because now they have to rerun the election. But the point is, if you weren't running the election in such a crappy way, you wouldn't have this problem. If you're running a clean election locally with local eyes and local hands, you wouldn't have this mess to begin with. So I love it when I find an election that we can overturn, and that's how we overturn them. So back to your question, I use that as an example. The way to audit your election is not by recounting the votes. That 99.9% of the time, that's a waste of your time, waste of resources. You have to get court orders. You have to fight for it for months. And then what happens is they do the recount. It comes out the same way as the original because you're counting the same fraudulent ballots over again. And then everybody says, see, we told you there's no fraud. And you look stupid and everybody spent all that energy for nothing. Welcome to Maricopa. That was the Maricopa debacle. So don't do that. Instead, the way to audit your election is to get the list of electors, and a candidate is entitled to that, legally entitled to that, and they have a period of time where they're legally allowed to challenge every elector. So for example, in California with the LA County thing, they haven't certified the election yet. You notice this. As soon as they certify it, every candidate in that election is entitled to the list of who voted in that election. I'm drooling for an opportunity to have that list. And once we have that list, we have 1 week to examine it. And all these ballots that are coming in late, That's going to be very interesting. I wonder if those ballots are really from who that says they're from. What we'll do is we will analyze those voter rolls, and all we have to do is find a significant number of them that shouldn't have voted in that election. They're registered in a different district. They're not a citizen. They're whatever it is. There'll be a number of things, number of criteria. And once we find that list, then we'll be able to challenge that election, and the candidate has standing to challenge that. So a lot of people, like, they go to court to fight. This is a very important idea. People don't understand this. They'll say, oh, you know, we had all these court cases in 2021 and they were all rejected on standing. The reason they're rejected on standing is because you as a citizen don't have standing to challenge the outcome of an election. The candidates have standing. The candidates have legal standing. So you should approach all of your candidates before this next election and say, if you're not willing to challenge the outcome of this election, then I'm not voting for you. And you should, and as soon as the election is certified, that candidate has a period of time. It varies state to state. In California, it's only 1 week, but in most states, it's closer to 3 weeks or a month. Once it's certified, the candidate has that period of time where they're allowed to challenge every elector. It's called the list of electors. So you want to know how to audit an election? That's how to audit an election. And you don't have to wait for any court. You don't have to wait for any fancy electronic evidence. You have the list of every person, quote unquote, who is recorded as having voted. And all you have to do is find out which ones of those ballots are not the real ones, which of those voters are not the real ones, which are the dead ones, which are the people that don't live here anymore that are voting in another state. And we are all set up for that. We have tons of tools we can bring to that, and we can make that happen for you. So that was a long answer, but I think I got to the nub.
Yeah. Now, the voters do not have the right to request an audit, or do they?
No,
Nope.
just the
candidate.
Only the candidate.
Only the candidate.
That clarifies it. Thank you very, very much.
You're welcome. And it gave me the chance to talk about the list of electors, which is a very important idea. And it also gave me it gave me the opportunity to talk about standing, which is a very important idea that people don't understand.
3 more questions left. We're going to go to Hawaii in a second with Victoria. Sandra, Nevada, if you hear this, you need to get on the Zoom. Valerie sent you the link. Go ahead, Victoria, with your question.
Thank you again, Dr. Franks, for everything you're doing. And yes, the elector detail, that is super important. I'm actually connected with electors in the state. So I'm going to get that information for everybody watching. For me, slow it down for just a second. Can you give us the site or the link to the 7 steps to audit the votes, or the voters in this case?
We're going to get it in a newsletter, and you can send it out, Victoria.
Okay. I thought it might have been on
what I'll do is I'll send you 2 things. I will send you the 7 steps, but I'll also send you what I call a checklist. And the checklist is what you need to do to get me for free to your county. And it's called Launching Your 7 Steps Movement. Oops, here, I got it. It's a checklist. So not only will I send you this 7 steps, but you got to realize this is just the skeleton, right?
Yeah.
It's actually like a 2-hour presentation for us to go over this together.
Okay.
But then I'll give you the checklist, which tells you how to get me there for free and what to do and how to organize. I've been doing this for five years. Like, this is all, there's nothing to reinvent here.
And we were trying to get him. We were trying to get him into Hawaii. We just couldn't coordinate it during specific times.
And you got to.
We tried with McGay, we tried.
Maybe
So
what
you
we
got to
could
book me
do.
about 3 months in advance. Usually, I'm booked pretty solid right now. If you wanted me to come to your state next month, I'm sorry, I'm already booked. I'm booked months in advance typically. So
But
you've got to get organized. Now, sometimes, like when I dropped everything and went to Korea, and there's a great story to that. When they said, we need you to come tomorrow, Dr. Frank, I prayed about it that night. And I said, God, I think I'm supposed to go to Korea, but I've already made a commitment at 2 very important places. I've got a 3-day commitment in California at the Peace of Heaven conference, which is where we do child trafficking stuff to get rid of child. And then I've got a whole week planned in Wisconsin the following week. And I said, God, I think I'm supposed to go to South Korea, but how can I tell these people no? Within 1 hour, it is amazing. Within 1 hour, I had calls from both places saying that they wanted to reschedule. Boom! I mean, I was like, okay, that's confirmation I'm supposed to go to Korea. And boy, was I in the right place at the right time. It's amazing to serve a God who's outside of time and space, because when you serve that God, he can arrange all the details. And it's incredible to be me, because I'm always in the right place at the right time and I have nothing to do with it. I just show up and boom, it's like, boom, everything happens. It's like, it's easy to be humble because I have nothing to do with it. God's doing.
So on that point,
That's
Dr.
cool.
Frank and Victoria's idea, what we're going to do is
Have our statements. They're
Dr. Frank, we're going to coordinate with him. He's going to come to Florida, and we'll coordinate with our state leaders that are part of Red America First, and we will educate every single state.
We'll have his whole
live
presentation.
We'll do it live with him here, and you guys could all get it, right? So that's Victoria, that's Becky, Texas, that's every state leader, right? That's and pillar leader. So
I was recently in the Panhandle. I did like 3 or 4 counties up in the Panhandle.
you know where we're at, Dr. Frank.
I know where you are. Yeah.
We're gonna have to get you back in this area.
Yeah.
And you'll get to see our new house we bought. Yeah. So
I saw your old one. Your nice little condo there, or whatever it was. It was a nice neighborhood. Yeah.
Yes.
But we, I do have a question, and it might not even be relevant, but it is relevant. But I mean, okay, so is there a way for our military to kind of see what's happening behind the scenes? I mean, can they see like our elections, like you were showing these graphs from, the one place? Can our military see when there's foreign interference, and can they get involved? I mean, can they help?
Okay, something happened in 2018 in the United States.
Yeah.
A new branch of the military was formed.
Yeah.
Space.
Yeah. Space
Called
Force.
Yeah. And I was with the president when he was doing that. And remember, I told you there are 2 executive orders.
Yes.
The 75th and the 83rd. The 75th executive order set up a committee to look into the election interference from 2016. Remember, Hillary was going around saying Russia invaded Russia, and they cheated our elections and whatnot. Well, 6 months later, Trump was having breakfast with with
Obama.
His vice president, Pence.
Penn.
They're having breakfast, and so Trump says, he's a business executive. He sits down with his people, and he said, okay, so give me an update on what's going on with the committee. Pence said, nothing to see here. I already canceled the committee. That's when Trump realized he was in trouble.
Yeah.
Because he knew there was tons of stuff going on in the 2016 election. So that's when he launched Space Force, where he could personally appoint leaders, because if he used the existing CIA, the existing FBI, the existing branches of the military. Well, what did Hegseth do this year? He laid off all these senior people, right? Okay. Trump knew he couldn't trust them. So he started a new branch of the military where he could hand place the officials. Where do you think we got all those recordings?
Space Force.
Okay, so your question is spot on, and the answer is yes.
Good.
Yes.
I like it.
But I wanted you to understand that it's a legitimate thing. So now, Trump has his failings, but he also has his strengths. And my favorite thing about him is that I think when he dies, the last words out of his mouth, he wants to be, I saved America, and then he's going to die. Okay. That's what he wants more than anything. He doesn't care about money, power, nothing. All that stuff is a means to an end. He wants to save America, and he wants to be on Mount Rushmore. I mean, I'm telling you, it's very narcissistic, but that's my kind of narcissism. Okay. I want him fighting for my country. Yeah. So he is not going to let the House go Democrat, which it's going to do. I'm telling you, I've already run the numbers. It's going to go Democrat. he's not going to just say, okay, you guys can impeach me again. Because that's job one.
That's
they're going to do that all day long. All day long.
As soon as.
You think he's just going to roll over and let that happen?
No.
No. What he's going to do is he's going to say, look at the foreign interference. I'm freezing it. And here we go. And that's going to be the fight. So that's what's going to happen. I'm just telling you, that's what's going to happen. And I'm a scientist. And if I'm wrong, I'm happy to be wrong. It means I'm going to learn something. But I'm telling you, everything that's happening is setting up for that denouement, that moment of conflict, that situation. Everything is setting up for that. Yeah. So how about for an answer?
I
like that answer.
On that note, there's two last questions from.
Help yourself. I'm not in a hurry. Yeah.
Coming from us is you are saying we're gonna talk about predicting the midterms now. So you're saying that the House is going to go blue,
easy,
and the poly markets have it at 90%. Okay. So
and I haven't seen that. Those are my own numbers that I put up a year ago.
Wow.
I'm going to just take the poly markets. I'm going to take Dr. Frank, our election integrity pillar leader. I'm going to take that data, which is better than the poly markets, in my opinion. I'm going to put that together, and I'm going to remind everybody, I don't know if Dr. Frank still has 270 to win up with all those states colored up, but all those states are allowing the election to be messed with. It's not fair, honest, transparent, all these things. It's a repeat of more fraudulent stuff. Now let's take it a step further. Okay. Last month, I was telling people we're going to hold the Senate. Maybe +1, +2, +3, if it's not tied. Now the poly market is saying that there's 3 seats we might lose, and it's a 53% chance now for Democrats. What say you on the Senate?
We're going to lose both.
Oh! Yeah.
The thing about it is, this is what's happening. I gave the Montana example.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The Republican Party is not on our side.
Right.
Remember, I don't know if you remember this story, but Mr. Lindell and I were flying around the country, meeting with secretaries of states, meeting with attorneys generals, and we were gathering signatures for our Supreme Court brief, and the 2021 Thanksgiving, the week before 2021 Thanksgiving, we had about 20 signatures of AGs around the country, and we're ready to go to the Supreme Court. And suddenly we started getting phone calls. We were on the plane. I remember this. It was freaking us out. I was on the plane with Mr. Lindell. We getting calls. People were like backing off. Take my name off. Take my name off. We were down to 6. And so we called the Montana Attorney General, Knudsen, I think is his name. And we said, what's going on? What's going on? And he said that the head of the RNC was calling every one of those AGs and telling them if they stayed on it, they lost all national support from the RNC.
Wow.
And so Ronna Daniels, right? That was who it was. Mm-hmm. And she was calling them. And so they were all backing off. They were all saying, well, we need a little more time to look at this before we're willing to sign on. No, they were all chicken. And they were all getting out. The Republican Party stopped the Supreme Court looking at all the evidence that, by the way, came from Space Force.
One more time. So our viewers hear this.
Came from
the Republican Party was behind the brakes on your movement to go to the Supreme Court. Let's take it one more step further.
Yes.
The two-party system working together.
Called the uniparty.
Ensuring that they remain in power, and they show, oh yeah, there's a balance of power. Now the Democrats are in control, the Republicans are in control. It doesn't matter who's in control. They're never going to pass legislation for us, we the people. They only pass what they're getting put in their pockets from the special interest groups. Valerie, go ahead.
Well, my other question, well, now that you're talking about that, okay, so let's just say that, okay, we lose the Senate, we lose the Congress.
Yep.
Everything happens, and
But
then,
everything is frozen, so we didn't really lose it.
Okay, so they'll be able to freeze it, but then what happens? Like, does everybody who's in place stay there until we can have fair, free elections, or what happens?
It's a state of emergency.
Okay,
martial law.
Martial law. Okay, that's
then the National Guard.
Trump has been joking about it, that he's going to have 3 terms. I don't think he's joking.
I don't think so either. I think he's definitely going to have.
And so now he's a fair-minded guy, and he also is. But you keep in mind, he has nothing to lose.
Right.
It's not like he can run again. And it's sort of. And what's shocking to me about this is that's just what happened in Korea.
Right. Right.
And the Congress met and impeached him and put him in prison. And guess what's about to happen, folks? Exactly the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Are we ready or not? And I think we're not.
We're not. I don't think we are either. I don't think we are.
And that is why it's so important that I tell you the Korean story. You need to know this is real. This is happening, and the Koreans and the communists have been doing this for decades. They're not just, fly by night. They've been systematically building this. They've got us ready. Boom, here it's going to happen.
Wait a minute. Well, what about the anti-communism executive order from I want to say Eisenhower. Let me see. Let me make sure. I think Magaso, can you remind us of this executive order?
It was an executive order in 1954. Dwight D. Eisenhower passed the Communist Control Act. So anyone who is a member of the Communist Party could be arrested and put in jail for practicing it. We have a lot of communists that are running for office right now. So the 1954 Act can come into play.
Here we go. Get ready. It's coming, folks.
Yep.
On that note, we are going to the Intel round. That was an amazing interview with Dr. Douglas Frank. We will have him come back before the general election. I didn't ask him that. Are you coming back before the general election?
I always say yes. It's just a question of when can you get me on, because I'm pretty busy.
We're going to book him on, and we're also going to do state leader and pillar leader group meeting with Dr. Frank to educate us on the 7 steps and everything else. We are going to go to the Intel round now. Dr. Frank, you're more than welcome to stay. You're a patriot that I always will put high on my list. If we go to war, you're one of the people I'm calling on.
I'd be happy to serve in your foxhole with you.
Yes, sir. We're going to start the state to state, and this is how we're going to.
I'm going to say goodnight so I can go kiss Nellie goodnight and tuck in my my wife and my daughter.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you for the 2 hours, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Frank.
Hey, you're very welcome, guys. Love you. Thanks for having me.
We're going to see you again soon.
Very good.
So now I'm going to go ahead and let the team tonight communicate on the Intel round. Rosemarie's ready. Oh, wow. Got her beautiful face up there. I see your hair, doll. This is how we're going to do it tonight. I'm going to give 4 to 5 minutes, not 6, 7. Okay. 4 to 5 minutes to each person. And we're going to go over the things that are the top priority to bring up this week. I'm going to start with Florida just because we are voting in the primary very, very soon.
Coming Tuesday.
And I believe it's like 4 or 5 days away. Yeah. I'm going to start with Lewis, and then we're going to call Rosemarie, and then any other Floridians that may be still on. I think maybe Liz B might be on too. And Lewis will go first. And then we'll go to other states. Okay. I will give Rob Ohio. Oh man, did he bail already? Mm-hmm. Shit. I'm gonna give Magaso the con while Valerie and I walk our dogs. This we always got to do a late night walk, but we'll do that after Florida. Okay. So that being said, let me go ahead and take a couple people down just for a moment and add them back up so I could put Lewis at the top here with Rosemary. Rosemary, your hair looks great though. All right, Lewis, I'm going to unmute you. Tell us what's going on in the gubernatorial race and who do you recommend? And then we'll go to Rosemary. Rosemary, I'm going to have to call her to come back. Go ahead, Luis.
Okay, our gubernatorial race is extremely diluted. There's close to a dozen candidates. Top of the list is Jay Collins, who is our vice governor. And then we have Byron Donalds, who was the selection by President Trump to be his choice for our governor. We have, excuse my eyes, I'm sorry, please. The lighting here is not good. Then we have Fishback. And then we have Holcomb, McCarthy, Norkovich, Reiner, Rodriguez, Shaw, Suka, and Williams. So it's a rather long, extremely long, diluted list of candidates that are running. I take my commitment to my government seriously. And my wife has been working elections a long time, so we usually study weeks. Every single thing on a ballot, every single candidate, we vet them thoroughly, and then we break them down and we begin removing them based on the background investigation we do. What we came down with as our final choice for us, and I only speak of us, was Mr. Jay Collins. He seemed to be the most credible man to represent my state, which has been my home my entire life, as governor. I will not say why we did not choose the other candidates because I don't want to be rebuffed, but it was a mess. We found significant issues with all the remaining candidates, not the same issues, but issues that were significant enough of me to not vote them. Okay. So we go from there. And then of course, we have the next thing is our chief financial officer. And yeah, I'm sorry to put things in Spanish here, so forgive me. We have two choices here, Mr. Collins and Ngoglia, okay? Even though Ngoglia was recommended to us by our Governor DeSantis, we still had to vet both of them. And we seriously investigate all of them, and Ngoglia came out as the one that we as a family have chosen to represent you as a chief financial officer. Commissioner of Agriculture, William Simpson and Matt Taylor were the two candidates. My wife and I vetted them out for an extended period of time, and we came up with William Simpson. We rarely take recommendations from other people because when we do our investigation and research on it, we find issues with the candidates that have been overlooked by other people. I guess you could call us OCD. So we want to make sure that not only who represents us, but who represents you is going to be the most effective, proactive leadership that we can find in the state of Florida. And at state level, that was all that would interest you. The other offices involved are circuit courts. I don't know if the circuit courts expanded beyond us. 13th and our 13th judicial court, and of course our school board. So, like I said, And what's amazing with my wife working elections, it was often she would find people, and I would hand out lists of the candidates and what they represent. We didn't pick party. We just candidates represent. We offered them to people going into elections, and they would said, no, I will decide who I'm going to vote for when I go inside. And that scared the pants off me right there. And this was 20 years ago. So you can see where the flaws are beginning within our electoral system. It's top down, bottom up, and sideways. It's a very flawed system. Credibility has been washed away by corruption at every level. And since I've been at this a lot longer than anybody I've talked to tonight, I'm frightened. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Lou.
Yes, Rosemarie, go ahead and tell us your Florida spin. Louise, thank you for that. That was very well done. Thank you. Go ahead, Rosemarie.
Well, there are 26 people running for governor, if you look at the whole list. However, we feel that Paul Renner is the best because actually DeSantis did commend him as being the one who, when he was leader of our of the Florida state legislature, did more than anyone in any other state in history. And I listened to the debate they had, and he was on our Red America First. And I've, gotten quite a bit of information. So Paul Renner seems to be the top. Some of the others seem to have some questionable backgrounds.
You're not
Some
really.
questions in there, some questions
So let's
with
just
regard
rush this.
to
Close it all down.
with regard to their, some criminal activities and so forth. For the United States Senator, we are Ashley Moody has been our senator, and we are going to continue to support him. For the other one, the representative, we feel George Martinez is probably the most credible candidate. He did come here from Cuba. They escaped Cuba. He understands what communism is, and certainly that is a big plus. He opposes communism. He is for freedom. He is for lower taxes and so forth. We went through the things that he represents, but many of the others have big money, by the way. Some of them are getting money from outside sources, which we don't really appreciate. And that's something we are, opposed to. Then we have our county commissioners. And by the way, Jennifer Pippin is running for a county commissioner office, which I have been supporting her. She was on our Red America First as well. And that's about it as far as the elections. We do have the local people running. And all I can say is I am a little disappointed that we are having so many criminal activities and killings here in Florida that I have been reading about. And that's very disturbing. But other than that, there is not too much more to. There is one other thing. I don't know if you read that Governor DeSantis has approved flying cars for Florida because they have been testing out flying cars. So he just signed the permission today on that issue, and that's about it.
So the Jetsons are coming to Florida first. All right, I love it.
Mm.
So thank you for that update, Rosemarie, and good job on the August edition. Everybody go to
Thank you.
RedAmericaFirst.com and you'll navigate to contact, and you could download the magazine. And also those that are on the panel, it's in the chat. I gave you guys the link and gave you the file. Thank you, Rosemarie. That's Florida. Unless Liz B, I don't know if Liz B, are you still Florida? What do you want to add to the team tonight? Go ahead.
I'm still Florida.
All right, tell us.
Well, I'm an independent, so I'm not part of the primary, and I do definitely see issues coming up to the general election in November. But there's a couple of things that I've been pursuing that a lot of people seem to think that it's not a problem here in Florida, and one of them is the Islamic movement. I have been noticing the purchases of church properties, which is part of what they do in Pinellas County in Largo, and I'm finding that they are actually establishing themselves in places like Claremont, McClinney, and
Ocala.
other little towns like that. And depending on the population, the Claremont McClinney area has 3 mosques. So
and that's 30 minutes away from me, and my blood is boiling knowing. And I was going to call on Becky, Texas, immediately after Florida, because Texas is Governor Abbott's just completely foiled to his citizens, because they're opening up mosques multiple per month. And Dallas Airport, Dallas Fort Worth, they're adding some sort of feet bath shower kind of scrubby thingy. We're going to talk about that tonight. But Liz, I gotta tell you, I'm glad you brought this up. Our country's being invaded. We're being invaded by a religious ideology, because it's really not a religion if you really peel the onion. Okay. And
yeah, it's
then you add the new generation to the mix. They're completely brainwashed. They're going to be voting in 28, and socialism's coming, because these kids don't want to do nothing. They don't want to do anything. So continue, Liz. Sorry.
no, that's okay, because people really need to wake up to. They think it's just Texas, Michigan, New York. No, Florida's in danger too. If you really look at where these places are and where they're building, they're crowdfunding their movements, and that's what's happening in Pinellas with the property that was just purchased in Largo. They do have a crowdfunding source out there that they're raising money to do what they want to do, build the schools for their young and everything else. And they are also looking at other properties, but their big focus when they do this is churches, the churches that are no longer occupied, or they move to bigger buildings or whatever, because that is, like I said, that's part of what they do. And anybody that has studied that and looked at their movement and what they've done over the years, and especially what's happened over in Europe, because they've done the same thing, or they just burn the churches down and build their mosques that way. But Florida is definitely a target, and I'm sure other states are. Georgia has got their issues as well, if you look into it, especially in the Augusta area. So it is becoming very concerning, and for the future of this country, I can only hope and pray that people wake up and see what's going on. And then the other thing too is people have probably heard across the country about the property taxes. Well, my county has decided that they're trying to get a jump start on the property tax break, and they're hitting everybody with right now it's still a proposal. They're voting on it on the 25th, but they're hitting everybody with a stormwater fee. And where I live, we already pay into the St. John's stormwater system. And for those of
Man,
us who have,
this
who
is
live
their
in a,
gotcha. You're gonna pay us taxes anyway.
yeah, and those of us, those in this area who live in an HOA, CDD, there's already systems built up in those neighborhoods where people are already paying for that. But that's not what the county's looking at. Their assumption is, well, the waters can still flow out of those developments. So people who live in an HOA, people who live in a CDD, like myself, are getting hit double. They're proposing this fee on top of what we already pay. So this is turning into a really big mess. But that's something that people need to be watching, because if one county does it, they're all going to be looking at whatever they can
I'm
do.
so glad you're bringing this up because it's going to be a trickle effect. So they're going to do it. They're going to do it. I already feel it coming. And I'm glad you brought that up. And Rosemary wanted to chime in. Rosemary, what did you want to add to this?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. Number one, they were trying to build an epic city right west of Vero Beach. I don't know if you're aware of that. And the people rose up very quickly and very boisterously against that kind of an action, because what they did is they bought tracts of land. What they do is they'll buy a piece of land, they'll leave the next piece free, then they'll buy another piece next to that, and so forth, like in a circle. And then people who are between these tracts of land will sell, because they don't want to be between all of these Islamic groups. And that's how they build up their cities. Okay. And so we have farmland and so forth out west. And the people here rose up violently against what they wanted to do. So, yes, Florida is very attractive to them. They want to take over. And in addition, as far as the HOAs, I'm in an HOA. I'm now on the board here. There was an action last year, and one very big, powerful lawyer went against it. It was to be able to get rid of HOAs, and to have to, if you do keep an HOA, to review all your laws and bylaws and so forth by January 1st. But that did not pass, and we are very upset about that. But if someone wants to do something about it, then they have to get to all the HOAs, and let's push ahead for that kind of a legislation, because that's very, very important. And also, I do want to thank all of you who have been sending memes to me, or little things for the newsletter, for the magazine. And I want to let everybody know in September and October, I am going to be focusing on the differences between communism, socialism, capitalism, and so forth. And in the other one for October, about the elections, the importance of getting out, and the dangers of having our system upturned by, not having police, not having, jails and so forth by the opposition. And if you find anything like that, or want to write an article that you would like in the magazine, of course, I will give you your due respect, and your name will be on that if you do decide or can do anything, because we do want everybody to take part. This is your magazine too. RAF belongs to all of us. We're part of it, and we are appreciative for our leaders, of course. But we all, need to work together and support, our efforts. And I would appreciate anyone or anything that you can send with respect to what we want to do. So if you would kindly do that, I would very much appreciate it.
Thank you,
Okay, thank
Rosemary.
you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rosemary, for that. Liz, do you have any last minute things from Florida before I hand it off?
Nope, that's been my focus here lately.
Thank you so much. McGay, so I'm going to let you run the reins, but Becky, Texas is next to talk about the Muslim invasion and whatnot. And I have to walk the dogs with Valerie. I'll be back. Thank you, McGay. So everybody could unmute themselves.
Okay, Becky from Texas, let it go.
Okay, a couple of weeks ago, I found out that in Texas, the largest Shiite Muslim group is in a very small town called Allen, Texas. There's another group in a small town in Katy, Texas. Allen, Texas, their biggest thing was a famous barbecue store or restaurant. It's near the coast up there close to Houston. And my opinion is what they're doing is they're taking over the real small towns because they can't they can't really do anything about it. They're small in numbers. Yeah, they've been the thing this week. They've been going into restrooms and washing their feet in the sinks, and it's totally grossing people out. Locally, our mayor, she had her trial. I don't know, 3 or 4 days ago, and they found her guilty on 3 counts. One of them was actually perjury. And what the city council members did was, instead of ousting her, they gave her a 30-day suspension. And they're going to try and stick to that. No emails, no phone calls, no nothing. If she can't do anything as far as her mayoral duties. And a couple of weeks, I've been going to the city council meetings for about a month. Well, and you know what is really odd is she's one of the ones, there's like a bunch of people putting in for her position because it runs out in November. But she's one of the ones that she's actually already put in her application to run again. And let's see, one of the city council meetings, the Democrat Socialists of America, we had about a dozen of them show up to the city council meeting, and I would say that their average age is like 20 years old. It's crazy, and they just really believe. I don't even know if they understand what they believe, but they're on top of it. They're go-getters. They have lots of high energy. It's going to be a real fight in Texas. And that's really all I got today. Thank you.
Anyone else from Texas? Sorry.
What's that?
Asking if there's anyone else from Texas, but somebody chimed in, and guess not. So let's move to Pennsylvania. Sharon, what about the elections there?
Well, I'm curious what's going on in Hawaii. I would like to ask you a question. What's going on in Hawaii?
What's not going on in Hawaii?
Exactly.
Yeah, Hawaii, if you look just at the election, for example, Victoria pointed out early about somebody walking in and they had to register to vote. Well, I tested that too. I walked in and they said, you have to fill out this form to register to vote. And I'm the candidate for mayor. And I said, it's kind of backwards. Why do I have to register? That should be for people who aren't citizens, who haven't voted and so on. They said, well, you have to register or you can't vote. I said, well, how about my mail-in ballot that I have in my pocket? Can I use that? He says, yeah, you can use that and you won't have to register because you have a mail-in ballot. Still doesn't say who I am. They didn't ask for any identification. So now I go and vote and I come back and I said, she says, put the ballot in the machine. I said, aren't you going to check my signature against the ballot, against my ID? No, we don't have to do that. I said, well, just check mine. So I took out my ID, put it next to the ballot. She goes, those signatures don't match. I go, what? And they clearly matched, but to the naked eye, this person said they didn't match. They didn't ask anybody else for their identification. And when I look further into the election, I go, okay, we got about supposedly 4,000 registered Republicans on the island of Kauai. Let's see how many voted in person. It was less than 300. So if they're following the Republican Party and Trump's wishes, it shows you again how many rhinos or people that we have in Florida. So the election was a total farce, the primary. But on the state level, when you look at the voters in general, it's about 60, 63 to 64% Democrat to 36% Republican. That's going just by the votes. That's not necessarily what it is. And of course, Governor Green, our communist dictator governor, won by a lot. And his running mate is our former mayor, our current mayor, Eric Kawakami, running for lieutenant governor. And he has an issue with a $15,000 contribution from a convicted person. And he won't give it back because he said it was a lawful contribution. But we also have our current politician at the state level with a $35,000 payment from a corrupt person as well. That's peanuts, more like 35 million when you start digging into behind her and getting the true story of that and looking at the islands as a whole. Uh, we know that, and everybody knows, and Professor Clement realized that a few years ago when we had an election integrity meeting, Zoom call back then. And he said, I never realized Hawaii is actually the most corrupt state in the States. And that's true. We are. I've said it many times. Our islands are all run by mafias. They're all controlled groups. We have a lot of human trafficking. We have a lot of drug trafficking. We had a lot of money laundering. We're the trade routes of the Pacific. And the only thing that's going to fix the problem here is the military coming in and cleaning out the mess as far as the election goes. There are other issues that can be dealt with regarding the Hawaiian Kingdom, for example, that can come forward because of Space Force, we don't need the amount of military that we have here now. So we can go back to treaties. We can go back to running the islands the way they should be as feeding islands, which we are. We're the garden island. We produce food, and we're being suppressed. We have 3 or 4 smart cities in the running going on now, and we have one Muslim organization on the island that's connected to the one in Honolulu. We have one mosque in Honolulu currently, and it's expanding. So Sharia law is here in some locations, and we can't have that as well. We have the Democratic Socialists that are in full force and growing in Hawaii. Those are communist organizations. So this is where the 1954 Act could come into play. And these young people may not realize it, but if you're joining a communist party or you're supporting communist ideology, you can be arrested and put in jail. And if we're going to clean up this world and get back to a peaceful world, these are things that have to happen. We have to have the Nuremberg 2.0 trials as well. So in the course of my election, I brought up a lot of things with COVID, and trust me, that didn't go over too well with some of them. It put a lot of people into shock that we're hearing things for the first time. and they had to hear it. And I knew that was going to place me in the course of things because they can't have an honest voice speaking truth and destroy their narrative. And that's true of all the islands. Victoria can tell you all that, and over on the Big Island, it's no
I was
different.
I was going to say, Victoria, let's talk about you.
So we had a lot happen recently because we did have our primary this last weekend. I did want to get back to our other Pennsylvania member to chime in. Bill, if you're still there and wanted to chime in, if you could unmute, that would be great. While we wait for him to come back on cam and unmute. Oh, there he is. Hey, Bill, do you have any updates from Pennsylvania? Yeah, I need you to unmute. There you go.
I've been working at this for a long time with election integrity, okay? And I learned some from Dr. Frank today. If our candidates do not challenge them, it's why we don't have standing. When I was down at the election board, I could have challenged my election as a write-in, and I didn't. And what I was told by the Lehigh County Republican Party lawyer that I couldn't challenge it. Well, now I learned I can, so I will challenge stuff like that from now on. As when I'm a candidate, even if I'm a write-in, I have that right, which I just learned that. All the years, I mean, I woke up in 2020 with the stolen election, and they shouted us all down. They made us feel like we're guilty, and that we're conspiracy theorists. But the whole condition is we don't ever accept defeat. We have to be consistent, persistent at what we're doing. As like I said, I was the outreach coordinator for the Pennsylvania Patriot Coalition for 4 years, and I chose Philadelphia to go to Philadelphia every 5-6 days a week from Allentown, which is a 60-mile ride. And then I went into the communities. I knocked on doors. I walked down streets and just talked with people. I feel that if we do these things, we organize the people, we're missing the first arm of government, and that's we the people. We surrendered that over the years, and the politicians took it over. They sold us out. And I realized that when I worked in the steel mill, and I watched our Republican congressmen make bad deals who send our work overseas. They gutted our industry, and now Trump is bringing industry back. But now we face another thing, is indentured servants. I call them indentured H-1B visas. They're taking the jobs of our children that are going to colleges, and they don't have jobs when they come out because they've been replaced with H-1B visas. And now we're going to deal with the actual AI taking jobs. This is a nightmare what we're facing. So I am basically working to have packets put together for kids when they're leaving high school to go to trade schools, because they're not going to take the trades. There's going to be many of jobs there. But to stay consistent and wake up people is the most difficult thing we do. Yeah. And that's where we got a trigger. Hawaii, there were some good Republicans at CPAC. But they suppressed their votes because we suppress our own votes by saying we can't win an election. Well, I believe we can win. I use different groups. I look for all the groups to work together.
Yeah.
I believe if we work together, we can win this war. Dr. Frank is right. It's a war. We're in a war. And we need to win this war. And it does where anytime I get a thing invite to another group, I go there. I mean, I didn't hear anyone from Florida talk about the Reclaim Florida. I go on there. They're every Tuesday night. And they're doing the same thing, working. There's a whole group of people, and they are attacking the state legislatures. Okay, is what they're doing. And I realized I set up 2 national associations now with my group because the patriot groups got to work together. We can never be alone again. We've been alone too long. And that's why I took my money. I went to CPAC. I went back to CPAC. I went back to CPAC. I watched the Charlie Kirk stuff on TV. I constantly watch Real America's Voice. I tell people, get off Fox. Fox is not for us. Get on Real America's Voice. Get it on your phone because you got to be listening for alternative conservative news. Quit the indoctrination because we're indoctrinated. Dr. Frank talked about it, but the true indoctrination happened at the college level first. It's in our school, in our high schools. It's all the way to elementary already. I've been fighting that level because our school districts in Pennsylvania are totally controlled by, I believe, the communists.
Yeah.
And we're dealing with these books in schools and they're saying, oh, you can't do anything about it. But yet it's a federal law, even if it's in the comic. Any explicit sexual act is a federal crime, but no one prosecutes these school days. Oh, they're supposed to be exempt. How are they exempt if they're violating? They're no more exempt than the Catholic Church was with pedophiles. They are grooming children. And we need to fight this at all levels. And we need to find what groups do it best. We don't have to duplicate their work. We got to use their work. And that's what I try to do. I'm here to learn what you guys are doing, and what you do best is what I want to know about. Because my group will work along with this group, and we will share what we do best. You'll share what you do best, and then we'll utilize all our strength. And that's why I'm setting these national platforms up. So all our groups can get involved in the national platform center. And I put my
doing all that work. That is amazing. And I'm really glad to have you as part of RAF.
Yeah, well, that's why I came here. And they asked me if I would come on Thursday. I said, Thursday's all right. I can be here on Thursdays. It's just Tuesday I go to Reclaim Florida. When you got Dan Schultz doing the precinct projects, I go on Dan Schultz's stuff. Dr. Frank goes on there. You have so many different people been fighting since 2020 on these different platforms. I go on groups in Arizona.
You should invite them.
Bill, we want you to bring everybody on Thursday night. Bring them on.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to try to bring everyone I can.
Look,
okay?
it's God. We want to spread the Christ word, and we also want patriots to not be programmed by the television. You even called it Fox. Fox was dead to me in 2020 election cycle. Okay, now
well, they were. We lost an election in Arizona because they called it.
We need to all remind each other that we get lied to every single day by virtually every single industry pillar that exists. This is why this platform exists. We could go above the noise and communicate what's really happening. That's the idea, Sharon, is week to week, we share what's really happening from the last week to this week. Okay. And we need to have substantial, receipts. And Ron Nevada, if you're on, we could get your example. Ron Nevada, he's not here, so I'm gonna have to. No, he's here.
Ashley, may I ask Bill if he would like to write something for the magazine?
Absolutely,
so we can build that group as well through the magazine and have a page dedicated to him each month.
Magazines are important, okay? I do this worldwide in other organizations. And we come out with a magazine, and it's actually about a 25-page magazine. We do it every other month.
We're almost 100.
Well, mine was 88 pages,
That's
and we do it every month.
That's a lot.
Every month. Together. So, if you'd like,
that's hard work. That's hard work.
A lot of work. That's a whole lot of work. Okay.
I'm gonna put it in the chat right now so you guys could download it right now. Get ready. Here we go. In the meantime, Uh-oh.
Okay.
What is this?
Well, that'd be great.
Is Ron Nevada going to give us a report?
Yes,
He is unmuted.
he's ready.
Let me just get to it. I just took some headlines. I can give you the headlines. And it's Trump celebrates economic changes ahead of primaries despite public criticism. And he came to Nevada to tout those economic changes. And I don't know how it went over, but he did come and talked about the progress that he's been making. California's population declines while Texas, Florida, and Nevada gain residents. That's not the best thing to happen, but oh well. And then, we've got this guy named Merchant who's running. I just lost it. And he's the best pick for second. He's going against our liberal Democrat Aguilar, and Merchant is a Republican, and I really hope he gets it. He's much better. Nevada, one of the worst states to live in, study says. And
Hey, Ron, do you guys have a big influx of the Muslims as well?
I don't see it here where I live. I live out in a rural area. I do see some people that could be, but I haven't seen no hijabs or anything like that. So can't really speak to it. And there's no mosques here, thank God. But Nevada school vaccine requirements unchanged despite Trump executive order, health district says. So what that means is that the health districts are not implementing Trump's executive order. The Secretary of State and the Attorney General are fighting the DOJ and Trump every which way they can. So this is just another example of that. Okay, Nevada County advances 4.6 million square foot data center despite public backlash. And that was in Lyon County. And people turned out, a lot of people showed up and voiced their opinion against it. And yet the county commissioners disavowed what the people wanted, and they're passing it. One simple spray, sharper, clever, sound and sound. Let's see. Donald Trump outlines economic. Okay, we already went there. Nevada water leaders say litigation is the last resort despite big Colorado River cuts. So California, Arizona, and Nevada are facing strong water rights cuts to their allotments because of the drought that we've had, and the Colorado River is going down so bad. So they're saying that litigation is the last resort. We'll see what happens. Our Senator Amedee still refuses to back Filippo as rift between two Republicans grow. So Filippo is running for.
We're on Facebook or?
Uh-oh.
Oh, you're interrupting me.
I'm sorry about that, Ron. I meant to mute myself. Sorry.
Okay. Anyhow, it's not a good situation. Amedee is he's outgoing. He's not going to be the senator anymore. Filippo is trying to get in there. There's a big, large amount of liberals and DSA people trying to get in here in this county is red. And people are moving in left and right. Every day I see people coming on Facebook going, where can I live? Every single day there's new people coming in. Anyhow, I wish Amadei would stop this and back Flippo, but he's not, creating a rift between the Republican Party, which could end up with a Democrat representing this area, which is historically been true red all the time. Okay, Nevada senators want to ensure Yucca Mountain nuclear repository remains dead. And that's the liberal Senator Rosen, Democrat, and the other Democrat. They're fighting tooth and nail to ensure Yucca Mountain Nuclear Repository remains dead. Okay. Swing state voters in Nevada say they are not dismissing socialist candidates. That's not good news. And that's all I got.
Very good job. That's how we do it, folks, here on the hashtag town hall. If you're on X or you're watching YouTube or Rumble, come on our panel, represent your state. You know, we miss things. Jennifer, South Carolina, what's going on?
Okay, wait a sec. They got a new guy that's going to take the place of Senator Lindsey Graham. You know, his sister's doing the role. I don't think she's going to be the permanent one. So it isn't. Wait a minute. Hang on.
Rosemary, what?
She won the primary.
Yeah, she won the
You
primary.
won it already?
Yeah, the primary, but she's going to the general. And I think
know.
Jennifer might be talking about the general. She doesn't think she might win. I honestly, Jennifer, if I could push back, Lindsey Graham's sister, forgive me, I don't know her first name by heart, but I listened to one of her speeches, and I gotta tell you,
Darlene.
she touched every single possibility that American patriots, we the people, would want to hear. She fired every cylinder, and it sounded great. So I hope she wins.
Oh, really? I haven't seen her. But anyway, she's entering the race this weekend, I guess. Whenever this might have been last week's as well. There's another guy by the name of Russell Fry, and he's somebody that Trump has said he likes. So I don't know. That's the only thing I got so far, I think.
Oh, thank you for that. Victoria, you can finish Hawaii now.
I would like to apologize for the emergency warning, but I will let you know that we have an extreme national weather service announcement that got pushed to our phones. A hurricane warning is in effect for this area for dangerous, damaging winds. This warning is issued for up to 36 hours before hazardous conditions begin. Urgently, please protect your life and property, have food, water, cash, fuel, and medications for 3 days, and follow instructions from locals. So that is for Big Island of Hawaii.
On that note, can we pause for a minute and show them you got two hurricanes here. Let's talk about them. You see them?
Yeah, some serious tropical storms, possible hurricanes. There was supposed to be a third one. Sorry, my phone's ringing in the background. It's probably another emergency alert. And
yeah, so let's go ahead and I'm gonna zoom in so people could see. It looks like Saturday, Hawaii's Big Island's gonna get hit, and it's gonna, the bands are gonna hit the other islands. That's what it looks like.
I'm glad I stocked up on water recently. I will go to our elections. In other news,
what about
we had our primary on Saturday. Megaso, I didn't know. I thought your mayoral was like in 2 years. I didn't know it was this year. For some reason, I thought it was the same year as our island was. I guess I'm just needing more information.
Who knew?
I did go to vote on the other side of the island. I actually got to meet our county clerk, John Henricks, which was interesting. Extended an invitation to join us. Hopefully we can get him here on the show so he can explain more about how the elections work in Hawaii. We had 3 nonpartisan, Republican and Democrat. You had to vote along party lines. Our gubernatorial headliner is Josh Green. Gary Cordery did get on the Republican ticket, and then our nonpartisan candidate is Bo Laia Hill for our gubernatorial candidates. I could go into other ones. It's really a hot mess. We have body cam footage from Ralph Kushney trying to investigate in the elections that has been circulating online on his platform.
Well, what's Gary's position on this?
Of the elections?
Yeah, well, I mean, where did he come in?
He came in on the Republican ticket, so he's the headliner. So he'll be on the
So he's going to the general.
yes, he'll be on the general election.
Let's see
good.
if we can get him scheduled.
Let's get him
to come back.
scheduled on Victoria McGaso. I've always liked Cordery, so let's get him on.
Definitely
Please,
can
please.
do. He was supposed to be, they were actually supposed to be flying in tonight and having a town hall on Big Island Friday, and then Saturday, we were supposed to do a training here in Big Island, and that got canceled earlier today. So notifications are in the process of going out of cancellation, but maybe we could do a special town hall meeting or something. There are a lot of races that were really close. And as far as races go, I was watching some of the tabulators from Milwaukee come in and I'll watch the television because I want to know what everybody else is hearing and seeing. But I come at a different perspective, right? I'm analyzing, okay, what are the people being told and what is actually happening? So like Milwaukee, they had for an hour, they had to go back to the county clerk and have them recalculate the votes because they downloaded the wrong information. They downloaded the audit information, and then they had to go to the courthouse in the middle of the night on election day because they're distributing wrong information. You have newscasters who don't know what they're even talking about or what numbers they're supposed to be reporting. This is why local level grassroots totally appreciate Dr. Douglas Franks and Bill, and everybody here. Grassroots level, that's what it's going to take. Like he said, it's going to take a movement. And this is, where we pick up our momentum. It's really messed up. It's really messed up. Our chief elections officer is non-compliant. He got a letter from the Trump administration and to comply and to turn over his voter rolls. I don't believe he has. I did not hear. A couple of days later, the governor, Josh Green, Scott Nago, and Jill Takuda show up in Hilo on Big Island to meet with John Henricks about securing our mail-in ballots and their routes and making sure everything's secure. And then we have elections commissioners who are putting out forms for people who've gotten multiple ballots. They're investigating watching, poll watching, and they're getting reported on and body cam footage from police officers, telling them that they can't watch. You can't watch them count or calculate or tabulate. It's like, no, you can. And then we have another elections commissioner here on Big Island, went in to vote, and she had to fill out an application to vote. It's like, well, you don't need an application to vote. You've been voting. But they're not enforcing voting. Reports from our local Kona, I actually drove to the other side of the island to vote in person. We're reporting that, yeah, they had devices in the voting center. They also had people coming in who didn't have ID. They had their name and their birth date, and they were allowing them to vote. So it's messed up. It's really messed up. We've got a volcanic activity that's supposed to be happening, and on top of the hurricanes coming. Pray for Hawaii, please.
Yes. Thank you for that report. And on that note, there's storms in the Pacific. There are storms in the Atlantic. I'm going to quickly share my screen again just for a second because when Victoria read that alert, it's also important to show what's happening on the Atlantic side. Now, these storms have been shifting south. I've been watching them, and I'd like to say I'm a better weather person than the people that went to, meteorology school because they always get their stuff wrong. But this storm here has died down. It was in the 60% range, going to turn into a named storm. It's died down, so I'm not really worried about this one at the moment. But this one here, it could still hit Florida. It has been trailing south. Both of them have. So Texas, Corpus Christi, Becky, if you're still on, this looks like it could go that way as well. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and we're going to go back to the midterm elections just for a second because we were forgetting the October surprise. Okay, so there's a couple of possibilities with the October surprise. One is, okay, I'll just put the elephant in the room. What is going to destroy the Republican vote count is the war with Iran. So we need to end that as soon as humanly possible and offer some tax incentive for oil companies to drill and, build additional gas refineries to help with, the production and the improvement. Another possibility is the rapture of the church. This could cause the Democrats to win everything again if we don't get out of that war. No rapture, Republicans win with $2 gasoline. War must end for the Republicans to win. It just has to happen. We've talked about the numbers. We're going to lose the House. Dr. Frank showed us. We went over the 270 to win. We showed you guys the states that are allowing shenanigans to happen. They're allowing it to happen. So you got to go in that just like if you were to go play a slot machine in Vegas. Please know that you're going to lose. The odds are not in our favor. Now you add the Dominion voting machines, then you add the signatures, you add the dead people, you add the illegals. It's just on and on and on and on. The two-party system's going to rig it where we lose the House, and in recent days, okay, the poly markets are putting the Democrats taking the Senate. Now, Dr. Frank, our election integrity pillar leader, suggests that we're going to lose both the House and the Senate. I want to talk to Seth Keshel before we make that determination that we're going to lose the Senate. I always had us tied +1, +2, maybe +3, but it looks bad all the way around for us. Mageso, go ahead. You got your hand up. What's up?
Well, my hand was up from before regarding the hurricanes. I just want to point out the hurricanes, there's a lot of suspicious flights or air traffic going on at this time. So we have to be aware of that as well because they can create massive storm. As far as the election goes, I think they're letting them do as much cheating as possible, as much communists and other people that are running for the election, because it is going to turn into a battle. BLM and them are going to hit the streets, and this is going to be the biggest roundup without a massive civil war, but there is going to be an engagement because it is going to be an attempted stolen election. And that's the way I see it. I see the military taking control. I see everything being put into a freeze. And this is going to be the cleanup.
And
Because it
on
has
that
to
note,
happen now.
those that are watching the live stream, we are going into round after dark, where we discuss things that will give us strikes on places like YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook. X is playing nice sometimes. We appreciate you. We're on every Thursday. It's hashtag town hall, RedAmericaFirst.com. Hashtag Pastor's Point will be back in October. And we want our team to grow. Tell us what state you're in. Your opinions matter. We are going to go to the after dark hours. Thank you guys for joining the live stream. Miguel, so what is the topic of the night for after hours, the first one? Are we going to have civil unrest? Are we going to have World War III? We're forgetting about Russia wanting some territory from Japan. I yield.
I think civil unrest, that's where it's going. We're going to see more flags, false flags. I mean, you just had another killing in California the other day of an American citizen by an illegal that had several convictions. The Muslim population is feeling so empowered